Hola.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing, Mar?
I'm doing good. How is everybody? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Paladin. Hey,
Hi,
Michelle.
Planning.
Hey, Dragonette.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see you.
You're so cute. Hey,
Well, I
Frazzy.
wish I could see you, but glad you're here.
Right, she's so cute. She's like, hi, good to see you.
And a while ago, I was like, I'm sleepy.
Hello, Lynn. Hey, Martha. You guys ready for Christmas?
Getting there. How about you?
Now I'm gonna put a sign out front that says for Santa to keep on going. Hey, Chris. I don't even have carrots for your reindeer.
Keep on trucking, Santa.
Yeah, you know what? Everyone's, older and people, you share cards, you have dinner, you get together. I'm even thinking about making pasta.
Someone gave us 2 turkeys today.
Ooh, nice.
Well, someone gave her 4. So she's giving 3. She gave us 2, and I guess she has one more to give away. But I'm giving one away.
Yeah, you gave what away too for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hey, Pippi Longstocking. I think we got an email from Pippi. Oh, Kaz needs to pop in. If it wasn't for Kaz, I'm not sure I would ever get an email. Hey, Jess.
Yeah, she's real good. She's organized. She's opposite of me.
Yeah, I'm organized, but I just have a busy life.
KK. My
Seven
dog
degrees.
just
Where are
starts.
you, Dragonette? Yeah, poor
Ooh.
Chisme is
Mm.
dealing with 20 degrees or 18 degrees in Texas right now. She's probably going to be like a little ice sculpture.
Yeah, my toes are freezing. And I went for a walk today, but I only got half a block. I only went half a block.
Well, put your feet on a heating pad. I live in the northwest of Maine, so
You're
I'm
used
used
to
to
it.
the cold.
No, I don't need a heat. I might use a heating pad tonight.
I was in Chris's the other day. I wish somebody could drop Chris's link. He was cracking me up. Snowing in Memphis.
Chris has a
Nice.
channel.
Living with a BB. It's 4 degrees. In Arkansas? Really? Wow, you guys must have a polar vortex coming through that area. It's not even that cold here in Maine.
Yeah, it's coming this way too.
Let me see how cold it is here. I really don't know. I mean, I've got like 20 inches of snow in my front yard. More snow on Saturday. It's actually 22. So, hey, Black Eagle. It's summer over here. 2 hours. Wow. Yeah, that's really cold in that area. If you guys should, if you're not used to that, you should turn your pipes on and just let some water dribble out of your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink so your pipes don't freeze.
Yeah, I did that earlier.
That's what I would do. All right, let's get into this.
Okie dokie. See what you
Um,
have for us tonight.
well, you know that until we're going to get into the latest updates and stuff, but you know, I am totally into these profiling people right now.
Yep.
And I'm I'm still convinced I'm sticking to my story. I feel that this was somebody. I mean, I can't. I sound like a parrot that was watching them. He didn't fit in. Hang on, let me pause my Dale Carson. And I'm sticking to the same thing. It was somebody who was rejected. He wished that he had a girlfriends like that. Hey, Jennifer. There's a lot of stuff going on with the bedrooms and the setup and what bedroom Dylan should have been in or would have been in, or maybe they thought it was See, I honestly do not think that is what happened. I believe this person knew exactly what they were doing. And I got a couple of videos that just blew my mind. And Dale Carson completely opens up and starts talking about all the questions that we had and what he thought. And I'm like, damn it, I knew I should have been part of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And
All of us
Chisby,
here.
I know. And then Chisby tells me, it's just common sense. I'm like, hey, don't burst my FBI bubble.
No, it's common sense for us the way you think. When you think about the like a scene, you kind of just make it simple. You know what I mean? And not just you, but when you're investigating, you make it like a
Yes.
simple thing instead of trying to put too much into it, and then that's when you see the background and all of that stuff. That's what I learned, to check the background really closely.
How you doing, Jennifer? Hey, Black, what's the temperature? Oh, I just put like this pumpkin pie spice thing into the wax melt that I got earlier today. And it smells
Mm,
like there's a pumpkin pie cooking in my
yummy.
kitchen. I might have to go get a little taste and see what it tastes like.
uh,
Okay, so Dale Carson, attorney, ex FBI agent, and the author who told us that we can contact him out of Jacksonville, Florida. This interview put my mouth on the floor yesterday. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So I'm not going to try to interrupt too much because this is very interesting. And I don't think Dale will get mad at me. But every video that I am going to play tonight is already in the description. Hey, Lily
okay.
Pad. Yeah, I'm getting responsible when it comes to stuff like that.
Not me, but I'll try.
Well, on the first of this month, I need to set up everything for the members and the gift cards and the book club so that we can get that movie month going too and watch that movie every month and hang out and chat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go, guys. And I'm telling you, there's some trigger warning in here.
Oh,
Dale Carson is going to
I
lay it
love
all
him.
out. He is going to talk about sexual predators. I don't even, this is not even going to be a monetized video because this right here is very deep. Hey, living life
Yeah, it
with
is.
BB. What is BB? BB.
Life with beautiful babe.
Oh, could be. All right, guys, here we go. I'm not even going
Okay.
to speed it up because this is so interesting.
About that. So initially I said a mile, right?
Can you hear it?
Yeah. That's a long distance, right? Mile. Yeah. So necessarily when you look out of the back of that house.
Can you hear it, Chisme?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there
I'm gonna
other
grab a drink.
windows that people
Me too.
occupy, rooms that people occupy back in that area that have a direct line of sight for those windows? Sure there are. Right. Okay. So it's not unheard of today, and we see.
Tony, this is mind blowing. And I'm telling you, from week 2, I've been talking about this. Dale came out a little bit on Nancy Grace, but she kind of like shut him up. And if I'm yelling, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm at the end of my cold and my ears are almost cleared. The cough is almost gone. I haven't laughed though, so if I start laughing and coughing, I guess we'll know. But he just, oh gosh, he just lays it out right here.
This with our own self. It's not unheard of today to be able to amplify and magnify with a telephoto lens at some distance. When I was in the Bureau, we had actual reverse, it was a lens that you look through this way, it hit a mirror, it's called reflective, and it hit back here into a concave area, and you could intensify over a mile, really see something. You could read business cards at probably less than a mile in optimal conditions, because heat and weather, controls some of that, because it makes the light variable. You can't, doesn't appear to be stable. My point is, you get on Amazon and you order a good lens, right? You order a really expensive pair of binoculars. You order a lens, and then today you can just download everything to a hard drive, right?
So let's say someone was spying on them. So what? How's that make someone a murderer?
Right. Okay, so what we see in sex offender cases, and remember I taught this, is that people
Trigger warning.
interested in the opposite sex. And we know that men, at least when I was teaching, were much more visually stimulated. Women tend to be stimulated in a different way. They read stories versus looking at images. There's a difference. So you look out in that area behind the house, and I could be wrong about this, but you look out in the area behind the house and you know that there's probably some visual stimulation occurring inside those two floors, right? That's my view. And I happen to know from having taught this that voyeurs can get in a virtual relationship with someone at a distance. I mean, it's not
I'm really not trying to toot my own horn here, but hey Lana, hey Skip, but I honestly have been saying this from week 2. Danny Rollins, right? Have you guys remember? I'm just like, this guy is just, yes, Enon totally fits the profile. But the second interview I have coming up, where they talk about the killer probably, it's just bizarre, guys, what they say about leaving certain information out because it might make the killer come forward because he wants to be recognized. And they get back into the Danny Rollins situation. Hey, Trinity. Crazy, Lana. Okay, I don't want to talk, but I have a big mouth. Chisme will tell you. I don't know. Chisme might have a bigger mouth. Chisme, what do you think? She left us. Hey, Lily Pad. All right, let's go.
unusual to have a voyeur, which is beginning down the path to other offenses, sexual offenses. Climb an 80-foot tree and sit in it for hours to wait for somebody to come to a window. Now, you would think, it's crazy, people wouldn't do that. But I'm telling you, they do. And the motivation for that visual stimulation is something that theorists and psychologists have looked at for many, many decades. And the reason there's so much energy put into this is not like raking a yard, okay? Because there's no biologic function raking the yard, okay? But if you're stimulating yourself sexually, there is a biologic imperative to do this. So you couple those two, the tendency to want to see visual stimulation along with a biologic need.
So I emailed Dale today and I was like telling him that he's my number one, idol. And I'm like, if he would come on the show and answer a few questions, I'm like, how much would it cost me? I'm willing to pay to talk to him. I think he is absolutely a brilliant.
And you amplify the energy, and we see this in all serial killers. I mean, they magnify all their living energy into that, and that's why they get so good at it.
So you don't think there's a rejection involved here? You think this person, in your theory, never even met these girls?
Not directly, no. I could make an argument both ways.
Because I would think my first guess is, you get rejected, or you're somehow you can't connect with them, and you're upset about it.
Right, they tell you bug off. I don't want to get it.
That's right, which I'm used to. And you want revenge, right? They pay. Right. You're suggesting that's not necessarily the case here.
Right. That is a possibility, to be sure.
Yep.
Right? Because attractive women who's on them, I get that, okay? And that's certainly...
Yes, Millennia, surviving the survivor. We're going to get into that interview next because that was also mind-blowing. And it's truly what I believe is going on. I think if it was any of the Jack, the Jake, the Davids, I'm not ruling Enon out, and I'm still a little... Murphy being left out of the whole entire situation is still strange to me. But then again, I also believe if Jack was the one that did it, I think he would have been arrested by now.
Possibly a part of this equation.
My
I
opinion.
can give you a theory that the women have boyfriends and the guy's jealous and he's like, they're with these type of guys. They would never think of someone like me. And they start going through all these mental gymnastics in their head.
Right. With the overall objective of what?
The objective is, if they can't be, no.
The objective is it's a biological.
Or they do have access to the
Which is how, okay, there it is.
Girl through these binoculars, let's say, and they see other guys, and like that guy's infringing upon their access now, and there's jealousy.
Sure.
Without them even knowing this other guy exists.
That's
in this theory.
In this theory. Okay. So let's look at it a little bit further.
I'm starting to think it was somebody that was in the military for a short time, and he was maybe taken out of the military, but definitely probably a hunter. And I am not convinced that the person that did this is not the one who skinned the dogs. How can there be two people in Moscow, Idaho, one skinning a dog and one stabbing 4 college students in their beds? It's just too much of a coincidence. I mean, then you got 2 freaking weirdos running around. Like, why are we not looking for the guy that killed the dog?
We know the one.
All right, guys, I'm going to finish this out. I don't want to interrupt it because it really is deep. Chisme, are you okay?
Can y'all hear me? Or
I hear you now. You okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
I just had it.
All right, let's go. Go ahead.
I'm just falling apart over here. My grandson was asking me some questions.
Oh, send your grandson to me in a box. Just poke some holes on it for him. I got some snow for him to shovel. All right,
send
here
out
we go.
3.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, not Biden.
Who is getting ready to leave. In fact, all of her items are sitting around in boxes because she's going to leave. Okay?
She's moving out.
She's moving out.
Oh.
This is the best girlfriend to Maddie on the top floor. Madeline, okay? And she is getting ready to leave. She is also the victim in this case, and I'm intentionally not using names because I think that's imprudent. But those 2 girls are in the same bedroom because her bedroom may not even have a mattress in it, may not have a bed because she's getting ready to leave.
Where's
right?
she going?
She's just leaving to go away and do other things.
She's moving out?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
she's moving out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's moving out. So she's staying in this bedroom on the top 3rd floor. Okay. That victim is the one who information is suggesting now had the most brutal wounds. Okay. We don't know whether the individual sliced from her throat to acquit her from communicating. But I will simply tell you that the concept, and let me give you an example. I handled a homicide in the Atlanta Penitentiary where a young girl went in and she was helping the inmates with their nutrition. And that's what she was doing. And she was like a volunteer CNA, a person who would come in and sit down with the inmates and say, well, what is your meal like? And those sorts of things. So this young girl who was 21 years of age, this was right before Thanksgiving. And she was there helping this one fellow. Well, this one fellow had what's known as a shiv. And that shiv is a manufactured knife out of a bed spring,
a shank,
or a mail bag, where they grind it down and make it reasonably sharp, but not very sharp. So he's in there with her. The door is closed. In the room right next to her, where she's providing this information to inmates, are the doctors, because it's in the infirmary. So the inmate, and I know this because this is what the inmate said after he killed her. He said, all right, now I've got to kill her.
Holy shit.
Why? All right. Because he tried to rape her unsuccessfully, right?
Trigger warning.
On the floor. When he pulled down her stockings, pantyhose, it was so swift that he actually encapsulated her shoes, which were short pumps, right? And he tried to rape her, but as with many rapists, they're not able to achieve an erection or an ejaculation.
Okay.
But they have a problem with that. That's part of the problem. And so he was not able to do that, but it was evident what he intended to do, and he'd be charged with the same thing. So he said, I've got to kill you now. So did she holler and shout, help, help, help? No.
Why not?
I don't know. But I'm just telling you, there's an example of someone who did not cry out. Okay. When I attended the autopsy, the injection of adrenaline, which.
How interesting was that part that he brings up about that he couldn't do the essay thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, big time trigger warning, guys. This is definitely adult content only. But it just makes so much sense. And this is not even the beginning. He gets deep. Almost scares me. Like, do you know who he is, Mr. Carson?
You occasionally do to restart the heart.
Do I know who he is?
Missed by about a centimeter.
Know how much he knows.
People don't always holler out. It's not like in Hollywood when someone's hollering and going on. That's to get you as the viewer's attention that something horrible's happened. And it's not always the case that people shout out. So here's the point. She's going to leave. The one gal's going to leave. The other girl's staying. They're best friends. She gets really, really severely injured. Now, why did that happen? If it's true that she was targeted alone, she's certainly in a window constantly that plays to the back, and she's going to leave. Another point is that it's starting to snow. Now, that may seem like a minor event, but frankly, when there's a heavy snow on the ground or any snow, you can see easily where people walk, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's not true if there's no snow.
He's brilliant.
So perhaps that was part of the trigger. She's leaving. It's starting to snow. And as a result, this individual who's in a virtual relationship as a voyeur is upset because he can see that she's going to leave. She's packing all her stuff up, right? So even if he doesn't know from information being passed around the neighborhood.
So we're assuming he in all this.
Absolutely. There's no question.
No.
One of the injuries to this young woman was her liver was cut open. Now, in my mind, that tells me it's somebody powerful. Okay. Now, you don't have to penetrate the abdomen too much to slice a liver. But of course, that shows a level of sophistication that the intent was not to injure or frighten these people. It was to kill them.
So how is this investigation falling short?
Well, All right. That area, that hillock right behind the house, was never adequately searched.
This
And
part.
how do you adequately search it? Well, the way you search it is you go in. Okay. First off, you cover all these areas. And we've seen this at weddings. You frequently see the white tents. At crime scene investigations, you frequently see the white tents over the ground. It's there to preserve evidence, because evidence is transitory, right? Something happens, it blows away, it gets covered up by something else. When you drive your patrol car up on the front, you may be destroying evidence and you're not aware of it. So
Yeah, we've always said over here that we don't believe that they should have taken that crime scene all the way over to that apartment wall, the Brookstone wall.
Yeah, they should use the metal detectors.
Oh, that's what he's going to talk about. Everything.
Manelio's generation. She said that this guy has a channel called Unresolved Crimes, and he interviewed that harsh Heenan.
Oh, did he? Yeah, we might have to check that out and see if there's any discrepancies compared to his last one. Because the thing about Enan that keeps standing out to me, one is how he knew every single detail of that black SUV, the alleged black SUV, but he couldn't remember the license plate. But he's like, Arizona, maybe Utah. The wine situation, about bringing that wine over there, and Kaylee being like, oh yeah, I want to drink some. And then that weird, like that laugh that he has. And he
Mm-hmm.
never mentioned Madison's name one time, but she was the only one he followed on Instagram. And these are facts. I've seen it. I've gone through it. I have been digging so hard that I have no nails left. Now I'm
You've
looking
been
into
digging
kids
in
that,
that hole.
oh, you know it. Now I'm looking into the military bases surrounding that people went AWOL. All right, guys, let's
Oh, that's
continue
a good
this.
one.
Yeah, it's got to be something. And I only started thinking that after what Dale said in this video. I really pray that he calls me tomorrow. I'm like, I'll send
Amar,
you
are
a
you
cat.
sure I'm not echoing or lagging?
No, you sound good.
Oh, okay, must be my headphones. Yeah, he's a good guy, smart.
He's brilliant. But this might not even be it might be the case because I've actually been saying this from week 2, but I was afraid how to talk about it. And I kept saying to you guys, like behind the scenes, I would love to get a hold of Dale and ask him about 4 beautiful college girls in there and none of them being it. That just, I think that's the one thing that they're leaving out. Unless, like we've talked about from week 2, this guy might be impotent. Or like Chisme and then Chisme has discussed, and I'm going to say it again, guys, we are all adults. If he masturbated at the scene, I hate to say it. I mean, is that even the correct way to say it?
How did he say it?
I mean, should I say masturbated or he
Sexual
jacked
gratification.
off? Jacked. Oh, no jacking off then?
Self sexual wait, self sexual gratification. And I said
Oh,
that he could possibly
so not like my little big bald squirrel.
oh Lord.
So I'm just
Now you
saying,
made me lose my track. Okay.
like you just don't know. And he talks. I mean, a
Oh,
guy is going into a house, and Madison, Xana, and Kaylee are absolutely beautiful, stunning, gorgeous girls. They have their crap together. She was getting ready to start her own life in Texas. She had her European trip planned. She saved her money to buy the pre-owned. Is it a Land Rover or a Range Rover?
Range Rover.
Spanking the monkey. I've always felt though it was somebody out there in that tree line watching. Hey Ray.
And then it is graphic, but I've said that they might have gotten the gratification by using the wound.
Yeah, Chisme has mentioned that too about the fact that it was like one of the first things they came out with, and they said no essay. And I kept talking to Kaz and Chisme, and I'm like, if there was to go into that, it had to have been something on someone. And then Dale Carson's getting ready to talk about some pretty what's the graphic situation. So it's a trigger warning, guys. But he's going to start talking about things that I'm just going to let this play out.
Okay.
Go ahead and put it on 1.25. Okay, so yeah. And even like he talks about the liver being cut. The lungs were cut, the abdomen. And it's funny when I've watched the documentaries that I've been watching and the books and the articles and everything, it seems like all of those crazy serial killers that use knives go for the abdomen and the one that the neck cutting. And we've said this from week 2. I wonder if one of them, and it's so sad to say that, but it tells you more of what kind of person that we're dealing with. Definitely a psychopath. All right, here we go, guys.
The thing to do is to cover those areas to prevent the weather from getting to them. So you out that you have, you've individually interviewed them, so you've got a good detail on what they believe happened individually, and you can aggregate that to see which facts are good and which facts are bad. But they didn't do that. And then the investigation didn't encompass that hillock right behind the house. And clearly, that was the simplest way into the house. If you didn't know the code of the front door, then it's very simple to go. If that sliding glass door is opened or jammed or whatever, you go in right there. And if you look, somebody put evidence tape right on that, which you would never do. Because if you put the tape down, that's how you lift prints. Now, today it's slightly different, but when we used to lift prints, you take a brush, you take your print powder, and you dust looking for it. So if you put tape, and to preserve it, you take a white card, you take tape, you put over the fingerprint, and you take it off and you on the back of the card, you write your time and information. Now, probably they can do it with cameras now, some sort of ultraviolet lighting, but the point is you never put
You get.
I do.
You do.
I do.
Despite all the mistakes.
I do. I think we're going to get an arrest. The question is, can you get a conviction? But let me step back to how do you analyze that area on the hillock? You cover it, and then you take every bit of that ground. You search it with a metal detector, and you search it with a rake, and then you get all that material up, and you strain it, much like archaeologists did. Because you're looking for, here's what you're looking for. You're looking for a wallet, car keys,
A ring.
Yeah, a ring, a cell phone, all that kind of thing.
Any identifying piece
Sure.
of evidence.
Well, I often handle burglaries where you find the burglar's wallet in the house that he burglarized. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that's the kind of evidence. So when you teach evidence investigation, you got to protect yourself first. That's the first thing. So you make sure the bad guy's not there. The second thing you do is you protect the scene, right? You identify evidence, you protect evidence, and then you collect evidence. That's how that stream works. And so you can see that that's what has to be done. And in a house where there many people are constantly, and it's a place where there's going to be a lot of DNA and those kinds of things.
I don't know, Lynn, if they had Apple Watches, but I do want to go through Maddie's Instagram. But just the whole room situation, how they're trying to say that Dylan should have been on the second, but was on the bottom. But then when you see the police there, that second room or that bottom room was not a room. We're gonna look at that again though. But let's get through this because I still have one more interview after this that I want to get into about the profiler of what kind of. Oh gosh, I pray to God they catch this guy soon. And I pray they have a few people in mind.
DNA. No. Into the.
It's close.
That's right.
That
That
was
was
there.
close.
I was
That's
like,
close.
yeah,
So you can take the filter out. You've got the friable means that it's broken down into small particles. When you have someone knifing somebody else, you're going to have that.
Particles are going to.
That's exactly right. Now, the theory is that this individual cut himself. I don't necessarily buy that. Now, in a normal knife attack, one person, a fight in the street, maybe. But I don't think that happened here.
Interesting.
I think this individual had some specific training. And it's not unusual, just let me tell you, it's not unusual to have individuals who train with knives. We see this frequently with incarcerated prisoners because that's the only way they can defend themselves. And they can hurt you instantly. And I have seen this happen over the years. I handled in Miami years ago, one brother killing another brother with a kitchen knife. And it was a horrific thing that I actually saw through the windshield of my car as I was responding to the scene. So these things happen instantly.
Damn.
They're bloody. And it's not something that takes a long period of time. And remember this, to kill one person with a knife in the middle of the night argues that they knew the person. Most murders are done by people who are known to one another.
This part,
And
guys.
you come into the room, you stab them in the neck, or you stab them, if you were a reader of
Trigger warning.
novels, you stab them in the heart.
I am
Of course,
thinking
people
so,
moving around,
Jennifer.
it's dark, arguably. We don't know today whether the lights were on or off in that room, but clearly you had to have some night vision gear or a light. And you don't want night vision gear that's going to poke all over the walls and out the windows, right?
Right.
So the accessibility of nighttime equipment is available now, night vision gear.
So the way you describe this, it's fairly sophisticated. You're looking at surveillance equipment, night vision.
Perhaps.
This wasn't just some schmo who just decided on a whim to do it, in your mind.
In my mind. And when we think about it further,
Oh, no way.
He killed 4 people, okay? And really, in my mind, it's 2 murders, right?
Yep.
It's 2 murders here, 1 murder here with both these individuals, and then another murder up here. And they were created simultaneously. I mean, not simultaneously, but those 2 people were killed together, and then the other 2 people were killed together. And clearly, there was some preparation, some planning that went into this.
I will venture to guess this. We are in Idaho here. There's a lot of hunting. So this could be somebody with experience with hunting. Use it.
Well, to me, if you're growing up in that area and you're a hunter and your dad is, and you probably joined the military, you're probably both. But you guys are going to think I'm crazy. But last night, I ended up watching that 60 Minutes on the Bin Laden. I know, I'm a nerd. But just talking about like the Taliban and the knives and how they went down and the Navy SEALs talking. And just because I wanted to see like, yeah, I'm putting this, I'm going to say this person's probably in their early 30s. Might have some military background. Incel, I think. Weird. I mean, everything that I think about, it's like Enon fits the profile to a T. And the next interview talks about how we were saying about maybe they're leaving something out in week 2 to maybe make the... Do you guys remember me saying that? I said that maybe they're... Because we were so confused why they came out with the exact type of weapon they thought it was. So we were like, why would they do that? But then they said there was no SA, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I said, well, maybe they're leaving that out because, you know, once in a while, like, and I used BTK as a reference, and I had said, maybe they're leaving this out because they want to trigger him because they like to take credit or they want the media to talk about things that they did. And that's in the next interview that they talk about that too. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is another Danny Rowland in my mind. And I think that if he doesn't get caught, I think that he's probably going to do this again. Maybe not 4, but, and I don't believe that a dog and 4 kids were both killed with a knife in the same town. They can't be 2 of those on the loose. It doesn't add up in my mind.
But you can buy those knives anywhere in that town because some guy did a special on YouTube and he went to a bunch of stores and they all had those knives. Not the ones he went to, they all had them.
Absolutely. But I think that this person has some military experience, like what Ryan said with the night goggles, oh gosh, we're going to be here for 5 hours. We'll be here making pancakes with each other, eating breakfast. Okay, let's just go ahead. 10 more minutes on 1.25 and let's finish it out and then we'll chat about it. But what he says here till the end made the hair on my, oh, yeah, here we go. Guys, just a total trigger warning.
Equipment to hunt other kind of animals.
It's true. I mean, people are not aware of this, but they hunt hogs with spears here in Florida. I mean, that's an example of the use of a knife.
Gosh, Chisme, stop talking so much. I want to say another thing that I have not mentioned to you guys, but I kept thinking about yesterday and then doing some research on biters and secretors. And I think that one of these girls might have a bite mark on them as well. Two of them might have bite marks, but I think this guy might be a biter.
To slaughter what ordinarily would be a dangerous animal.
An outdoor experience.
It could be, but it's someone familiar with the use of a knife. And I think that lends itself toward a military history, which was true with Danny Rowland. Danny was, there for PTSD in Gainesville. So, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. But what you're going to do is you're going to look for recent releases from prison of inmates who practice with knives, and you're going to look for individuals who are seeking medical care for PTSD or other things of that nature. So,
and maybe surveillance video of people who've come and gone from the premises in the past week.
Well, that's right. But there's a dearth of video.
Or you go through their phone records and you see in their emails and text messages and see who they've been in contact
with. Well, you'd absolutely
problems.
Nah, Millennia, in our live 2 nights ago, we went to the food truck with Enon, and everyone didn't think that guy with the poncho was Enon. Did they, Chisme? No. And he was with that girl, that pretty girl, and that was like, there was no way that he was there with that girl. Remember? And then he walked with the poncho on. Hey, Marietta. Hey, Leslie. Chisme, are you here?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was. We didn't think it was Enon. Did anyone think it was? Did anyone think that guy at the food truck with the poncho was Enon? I didn't think it looked like him.
Yeah, a lot of people have been trying to compare him, and right now some of the YouTubers say it is him, but it doesn't look like him.
You know what? He could have, Marietta. He could have staged one. We're probably not going to know for a while, but yeah, it's definitely, I mean, damn, Danny Rollins cut one of the girls' heads off and put it on the shelf. But we'll go back and look at the food truck. We blew it up. I just don't think it was him, because that guy at the food truck didn't have Enon's little beady eyes. I've been texting Enon. The last time I texted him, I said, can I call you? And he never responded. Maybe I should just call him. All right, let's continue.
Call him right now?
Right.
Maybe after this I will. Because I have no problem calling him.
I know.
Look at that. But
something,
which is to kill 2 sets of people, 4 people at night, early in the morning. Everybody's asleep, apparently, and then evaporates. How does that happen? I mean, this is not something that
someone who's trained.
It's someone who knows what they're doing. There's no question.
They knew their way out, and they knew how to get it done and done quickly.
Yeah, that's right. And get away and without detection. And I will tell you that being able to do that series of things effectively argues for some extreme training. And the other odd thing about this, from my perspective, knifing people, is that a replacement for sexually violating them? Well, possibly. It's a knife. It's poking into them. But I don't see this as a serial sexual killer. I mean, he doesn't reach the level of a anger excitation rapist, which is a category where somebody goes in, they're a disorganized killer, and they just kill somebody and they're not concerned about being caught. This is somebody who, with stealth, eliminated the lives of 4 people and was able to simply vanish. And that, in my mind, requires a lot of preparation and a lot of skill. It's not something that another student did, in my mind. but somebody who has a military or at least a hunting background.
Would you try to suffocate them or tie them up before doing it? Would that be a simpler, better way, so to speak, for them in this type of instance?
Well, if it were sexual, you would expect him to lasso one of them out of the group and sexually molest them. That's not what we see here, which leads me back to the thought that maybe they knew something or thought something that they shouldn't have, and they were targeted directly. But then we get back to the idea, the back of that house is just open for view from the outside for not a week, not a month, but for a long period of time. And these are college students. They're living in a reasonably secure area, and there's locks on the doors. They feel safe in their bedrooms. And it's a horrible thing that women have to worry about someone who is a deviant being somewhere in the world watching them. But I can tell you this, women generally, and I taught this for the FBI, women generally are afraid when they go out and it's dark. They are worried about anybody approaching them. Whereas men typically are not that way. We are out and abroad at night, and we're not particularly worried about people coming up on us when we're young. You get older, you got to pay a little more attention.
Okay, so let's go now towards the conclusion here. And I asked you this previously, and let's come back to it. Do you think we'll see an arrest? And if we will, when do you think we'll see it? And then will we get a conviction?
Right. The conviction is pretty likely. I mean, I don't think there's any place in America that you could have a defendant that people didn't know about this. And here's the other problem.
Enough evidence too, right? Again, the evidence at the scene and the evidence has been tainted. Would the right defense attorney be able to somehow get it thrown out?
First off, we've got you're arguing that the evidence would be tainted.
Possibly.
I agree, Tony.
But they now have evidence. They may have blood from the individual who was there. Remember this, when you enter a crime scene or a scene, you enter a room, you're sloughing off DNA. You're sloughing it off, whether you want to or not. And when you leave, you're carrying some evidence of that room, that location with you when you leave. So you bring evidence and you take evidence with you. So my point is simply this. They may have sufficient evidence to determine a given individual was in that room.
If they're able to make an arrest, what's going to be the one thing that's going to help them bring this man?
A confession.
Confession.
I mean, that's always the solution, right?
But the evidence, what piece of evidence do you think is going to be able to tie them to this?
All right. If you can find the weapon that was used and it's got layers of blood on it, I don't know, but sometimes these individuals will take a trophy. They'll cut off a piece of something, particularly that's not unusual in women killings, where they cut off that they want to use to remember and relive the circumstances. So if they found any of that evidence, clearly that connects the person. But absent that, then you're going to be relying on, there would apparently some nails, potential DNA on them, things of that nature, depending how well prepared the individual was. Now, if they were well prepared, it's cold. They're going to be wearing a mask. It's difficult to scratch somebody. You wear gloves. And there are all sorts of precautions that a bad criminal can take to avoid being connected with the crime.
You would think 4 women who are attacked would have some sort of evidence under their nails in the process of this going down.
To the extent that they were aware of what was transpiring.
Maybe they weren't.
Well, they were laying in a bed asleep
right
when somebody starts knifing them. And the knifing doesn't make a lot of noise. It's certainly scuffling and makes noise. I pointed out earlier, simply because you're attacked and knifed doesn't mean you're going to shout out. I mean, you may be dreaming for all you know.
You may never wake up.
Well, that's exactly what apparently happened to some of these. So all of this ultimately will depend on putting the evidence together. In the Wayne Williams trial, we didn't have any of that DNA evidence before all of that happened, right? This is back in 79 and the early 80s when all of these things transpired. And so what we did was we put together hairs and fiber analysis. So he had a car, he had a house with a rug in it, he had this, he had that. And pretty soon you got 23 different fibers and analysis that are on the victims that likely came from Wayne Williams' environment. Again, that's that microscopic evidence. So you would try to manage the case by putting this together. One of the problems that we've seen is the pressure from the media to get information, the pressure from the family to get information probably is deleterious to the overall operations of investigating a crime of this nature, simply because when you're interviewing people, trying to identify a suspect, you've now given away the fact that the one girl's liver was cut open. If I say to you, I did this, I had confession, and I don't know that I cut the liver open, then I can eliminate that person, right? They're not really the person. But today with DNA, we have a better and better chance to identify who the killer actually was. But that takes time. And it also takes some example to compare it to. Now they do it through extended family alleles now, where you can actually see that somebody in that family group is connected. And that's when you find that the one person, the uncle, the son is has some mental problems or has some sexual perversion, and then you can connect the dots.
Okay. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you for the educating, enlightening, and informing.
My pleasure.
And we'll see how it all plays out.
We will.
Hope you enjoy.
Smart.
Wow. Wow. Look at Jess, terrified of the dark.
Don't be scared.
I agree with you, but I'm still going to stick with the fact that I believe he was already in the house when they got back. I think that he was upstairs on the 3rd floor going for the target. And I think that because of the fact that Ethan was found in a common area, I think when he came down, or maybe Ethan heard him or whatever, and then the struggle with Ethan, Xana woke up, and I think that's why Xana has defensive wounds. And I think Kaylee had defensive wounds because he probably had a little extra time if she was the target. But this is just my opinion. What about you, Chiz?
Yeah, I think he
She's
climbed up the balcony by the hill, and he climbed up to the balcony. He got in through those windows or the sliding doors, and then since maybe the dog knew him, or he did know him, maybe since he's a puppy, he was jumping all over him. So he's like, "Get away, dog!" He put him in a ring, or else the girls did it because he was jumping. And, being that he a puppy, and then they put him up, calling Jack him up because he was being too aggressive. The dog.
okay. Yeah, that's what throws me off. Like, maybe the person that did this, I mean, could you really be that much of a crazed person where you go in to kill 4 kids and you put the dog away? I mean, unless that's so bizarre. Usually you hear about it, and if there's an animal at the house or involved, and the animal is usually either bloody in the scene, not tucked away. And I don't believe Kaylee would have slept in Maddie's room without the dog. He was a puppy. Let me get my cough drop out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying about Murphy? Like, but I have to, gosh, I think if Jack was the culprit, I think they would have known by now, the core.
Well, his DNA is already there because of being there so many times. And if they use the ultraviolet, he's gonna have been there before, being that they're adults. But if they use the ultraviolet, if they would have used the ultraviolet light out in the trees and all that, and the tree line, maybe they would have found some kind of DNA.
Yep, I thought that from I kept seeing, guys, I told Chisme this weeks ago, I could totally see the guy standing in the trees from the profile side of him. And I'm telling you, I think he was smoking. I don't know what he was smoking, but then he didn't have any feet. So then when somebody showed me the picture of the knife originally, before I went to Showwater's mom's Facebook page, and I saw the knife, at first I thought it was a picture of the person that I was actually seeing, until I zoomed in, and then I was like, oh shit, that's the knife. And I told Chisme, do you see the person? Did you think I was crazy, or did you see the person?
Well, once you mentioned it, it looked like a person that had a hoodie on, but it was the profile. They were facing the right.
Okay, so this is Surviving the Survivor. In the top corner, him and his mom. She's 86, Holocaust survivor. And it's called Surviving the Survivor because he's surviving his mom's antics. But he has got some great guests on. But what this man is going to say in the upper right corner is another kind of trigger warning. I don't know if he's too graphic, but he's pretty much, yeah. I agree with everything. But let's go ahead past his little.
What the chief recently released.
Below, if you will, to the investigation. People were hanging. However, to be a little dated by the time this comes out, Moscow police have ruled out any connection between that damaged car found in Oregon and the brutal murders of the 4 University of Idaho students about 500 to 700 miles away in Moscow. Police came out of Colorado, and the female owner is not believed to have any relation to any property in Moscow, Idaho, or the ongoing murder investigation. So, Jim, to you first, is that a blow? Well,
hey, Dia.
We're hanging
I don't
in their hopes on the bolo.
Well, I mean, well, different speeds. The car is just one. You know, it should be looked into. It was determined not to be connected to the investigation, and they're moving on to the other 9,999 bits.
There's really only one other small piece of news to relay today, and that is we've got word about back to school, which for me was always scary as a kid because I didn't like to go to do my homework, and my parents dragged me there. But now this takes on a whole new meaning, going back to the University of Idaho after these heinous crimes. So it was announced that classes are going to resume on January 11th. What's interesting is they've also announced at school that they're adding more security on campus. They're distributing Birdie personal safety alarms. They're offering self-defense workshops and stalking awareness.
Okay. Now, I mean, I think it's a good thing that they're doing this. The self-defense, the awareness, all that needs to be done. But at the end of the day, they could have been inside, doors locked. I mean, I just think that this creeper was in that house when they got home. And if you're sleeping in the bed and somebody just jumps you with a knife, I don't know if anything is going to save you. But I do think it's a good thing that they are definitely going to teach self-defense classes for, weirdos on the street. Hey, Edward. Hey, Sweet Crazy. Hello, Paladin. Hello, Edward. But it is actually a good idea. But remember, guys, I showed you the cams. There are 15 live cameras in Moscow, on almost every main street. Right, Chiz?
That's right. I hope the law enforcement are aware because you know how some of them are old school and may not think about that right away.
I'm sure the city of Moscow knows, and if not, then I don't know if any other channels has shown them, but I've been through hours and hours of them.
Like here.
Yep, Ray. Yeah, we've been to the traffic. Go ahead, babe.
They have here in San Antonio. They have cameras, but the cops rarely look at them. And I've told many families that they need to go ahead and ask for a video from the.
Wait, your mic is muffled a little bit.
I said, okay, I was saying that here in San Antonio, there are a lot of businesses and street cams, but a lot of times the cops don't ask for it, the investigators. So I've told many families that they have to go and ask for the videos themselves,
Absolutely. Yeah, Ray's talking. Yeah, we've looked at the traffic cams, but if you search, Ray, did you see the traffic cams we showed? All 15? Yeah, 15 cams, and one of them just happens to sit right at 6th Street or some Taylor and something. But there's a few, 15 of them. All right,
There's
let's.
another one. It's called a weather bug.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Here we go.
Education, among other safety measures. Scott, you're no stranger to horrific crime scenes. Do you think this will appease any of the students? A lot of kids didn't come back after Thanksgiving.
Well, I think that it's a good step in making people feel a little more comfortable. Anytime you give people tools that empower them to defend themselves, give them more information, give them a sense of feeling more confident, I think that's a good thing to do. Whether it's going to actually, do anything regarding the investigation, I doubt it. I think one of the things that is an interesting point is, I was a little bit critical in the beginning of this case in my own mind when I was following it, that everybody was allowed to go home from the school campus so quickly without giving any kind of an appropriate head count of who might be missing, who might be acting bizarre in the direct days just after the murders. Letting everybody go home, I think, caused anticipation of some of that transient observable evidence that you might be able to see on individuals. So having everybody back in campus, I think, is a great idea. But I think, we want to start looking at, well, who's not coming back now? Although I think it's a little bit less relevant now than it would have been the Monday after the murder.
And that's a good, we've raised that on the show quite a bit. Does it make it more challenging that this is a university community? It is transient in that sense. Jim?
Absolutely, Edward. They could definitely go with genealogy if they had the suspect's DNA and it was not in Codex. Chisme's here. You hear, Chiz?
Yes, ma'am.
Dia can't hear you. Are you ignoring Dia
Oh.
tonight? You being rude?
Actually, I'm trying to get myself together here. The grandkids are coming in, but I already threw them out, and I had to do all that and
You better
change my
send
dog's
us.
diaper.
Send me a picture of Cupcake in her diaper. Your grandkids should be sleeping.
Yeah,
Tell them
right. Well, they're on vacation.
I know, but tell them if they don't go to bed, that I'm going to that you're going to tell Santa they can't stop. Okay, let's get into this, guys. Yeah, Tony, I was looking into that with his huffing and meth and MDMA. Like, yeah, he's definitely a strange character. But did they take his DNA when he was arrested for those charges? I don't know. You have to look into the Washington State penal codes. I don't know. But that would be in Washington State, which they could get. Enon's weird. But listen to when they're going to start talking about the killer wanting to insert himself. This gets really good.
My dog's about 11 or 12.
Paladin thinks he's regional. I think he is. I think he's definitely from around that area because I think he has spent a lot of time peeping in at that back window.
May have even discussed it the last time you were here, but how is it just the mere fact that a lot of students didn't return who potentially could have information, Jim?
Well, I think judging from the public response to this particular crime, if somebody had something important to say, they would have called. And as names come up, they're going to pursue them. They're going to reach out to them. They're just not going to say, Bob's gone home for 3 weeks, so we can't talk to him. But if they really want to talk to a witness, they're going to track them down, get the contact information. They'll pursue it. It will be nice when they come back. I agree totally with what Scott said about, you missed the opportunity to people behavior, defense behavior, where some people might do things that destroy evidence, clean their clothing, rid of. Some people change their appearance. Some people rely more on alcohol and drugs to deal with stress after a big crime. And that's that. If they miss that, that's just one part of it. But they're going to make the link between the offender and this crime scene by forensic evidence. And that's going to be the big thing that makes the day and proves the link between somebody in the crime scene and likely activities surrounding the injuries and deaths caused to the victims.
And we had a retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Koffendorfer on, and she explained, with the FBI now involved, they've got.
I truly believe that even if this guy did not cut himself, that he definitely left some type of his just me, you can say it.
Spermatozoa ejaculate.
I believe, and Paladin's probably going to start thinking I'm crazy, but after this whole thing I watched last night on people that use knives in their deals, that sometimes they're secretors and they like to bite. And unfortunately, what Dale Carson said, they like to slash the targeted one's neck. I don't know why, but I
right
just
away.
Yeah, I like your opinions, Paladin. Yeah, I don't know about clues to the public. I think the knife. I think that's why I think that this is definitely somebody. I think I'm going with the thing that he's probably impotent, and he definitely is masturbated or ejaculated. A better term to use. Ejaculated at the scene.
Yes.
Probably tried to wipe it up, but I bet you they left. Yeah, there's got to be something there. That's what I'm going on.
The purple light, you can see it. That's why you can take a purple light to a hotel room and then you can see if you need the sheets changed.
Ray, Paladin, you are men. Like, what is the term for that? Would you say? Thank you. Thank you, Lana. I knew you would come through for me. All right. I believe that he did that. Or he bit somebody, or just he did something to one person. I believe that it's a person that was targeted and not the house. I think the house was the first thing he started peeping into, but then he saw. Yep. And I truly believe he was in the house, and I truly believe that he saw Kaylee out that night, and it just triggered him. And I also think that the whole Adam and what did you tell him, I think that is just why she kept calling Jack's phone that night was to do damage control. I don't think that has anything to do with what happened that night, but that's my opinion. I love everyone's opinion.
Yeah. They should have blocked off all the streets as soon as the cops knew that what was happening. Blocked off all the streets and checked everyone and told everyone that had already left to come on back voluntarily. And they were going to, question everyone, no matter if they weren't around them, maybe they heard something, bring them all back, even if it was at the cost of the school, of the college. And then whoever didn't want to come back and all that, then you can double check them or have them go to their local place, police department or something to get a DNA or a lab somewhere.
I'll tell you why.
They should all do it. There should be a protocol. Number one, do this. I know each case is different, but they should, number one, do this and then block off the streets and quarantine, everything within a block or whatever, But they put tape. They put the caution tape up, but they also put it on the door, like they hung it on the house. They secured it to the house.
I think they should have brought that. I think they should have brought that tape all the way extended out behind the bush line and a little bit into that parking lot on the left if you're standing in front of the house. Paladin said if the killer had wanted to, he could have set the house on fire to cover his tracks, but why didn't he? Well, there's a dog that was put away in the house. whether or not he knew Bethany and Dylan were in there, which I think he did. But I think he didn't do that because he wants to. He wants recognition for what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants. And listen, what this guy on the top right's going to say, Paladin, because it was exactly what I was talking about last week. I don't know if you were here, but listen what he's going to say about how the killer is going to start wanting recognition, and maybe he's already involved in the case. And who does that scream? Enon. Hey, TC. All right, let's.
Yeah, and he might want to know. He might want everyone to know what happened to him, and then that's going to give him more gratification. Just hearing
Yep.
about it on the news, because we still
Ab-
haven't heard everything. We don't have the medical examiner report.
Absolutely. Weird that that hasn't even come out, not even a redacted one. But when this guy, like, I see another Danny Rollins, and I'm telling you, this guy, I feel like if this guy is not caught soon, not next week or not anywhere, but if he feels he's not going to, they're not on to him, I think this guy's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Plenty of agents. So like you said, Jim, if there is a student or someone they want to talk to in a different state or elsewhere, they've got FBI leads that will go and kindly knock on those doors and get the information that they need. So Scott was kind enough, since he's really an expert in his own area, to provide some angles for today's discussion. One of them is one that we've been talking about quite a bit, and I'd like to get both your takes. And let's start with Jim, and then we'll wind up with Scott on this. But just bottom line question, Jim, is this a cold or hot case at this very moment?
This is very hot. This is very hot. This has an incredible amount of resources and personnel being applied to it. They're doing all the forensics. They're getting their analysis. This is high gear. This is high gear.
And so let's just say this setback with the Elantra that everyone was looking for, it's a nothing burger, but the investigation is still moving full steam ahead. Scott, is that right?
Yeah, I totally agree. This is a hot case right now. The information that I've been trying to collect online with regard to family statements, obviously you can understand the frustration level, and even, post-traumatic stress being a driving factor in some of the family members that are speaking out. So I wouldn't be overly critical of anybody that's coming forward as a family member at this point in time, but I would be extremely careful about listening to anybody giving a public statement, any witnesses that are putting themselves in the light to talk about things on social media, whether it's a podcast or whether it's on Instagram or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of data to go through. I think we have a couple of.
Could be Paladin. But another thing, like, and I know, and I'm not a morbid person. I don't like crime scene photos, and I don't look at that stuff. I can't stand it. But I always wonder, and Chisme and I, Kaz talk, it's like, when did they take their bodies out? There's not one news footage, or it's just so bizarre.
Because they went out in boxes, I think, the biohazard boxes.
Okay, but that doesn't, Chisme, you're talking about if they went out in those boxes, then they were dismembered,
right?
I don't think that. I don't want to think that. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh shit.
Suspects that telling everything that they know, obviously, to the general public, and I think in some regard that's a good tactic, because they could flush out a suspect by lulling them into a sense of complacency. I've seen them do that from time to time. The police are very smart; they know what they're doing, and I think now that the FBI is involved and that the resources that they have, and listen, the FBI is the world's most advanced crime-solving organization. And I think this case is as hot now as it was on day one.
Interesting. We had Chris Anderson on 48 Birmingham's. He dealt with 100 homicide cases, and he agreed with you. This is definitely a hot case. Says that law enforcement knows exactly what they're doing, and I bring it up because a few videos have leaked over the past couple of days. And I asked him, I asked him what his theory was on why we're seeing these videos. And he said it could be, he didn't say definitely, it could be actually being leaked by law enforcement to maybe draw someone out? Scott, you're shaking your head. Yes, is that a tactic potentially?
I think it would definitely be a tactic. You want, if you have a suspect, I think that you like, but you need them to make a mistake. The best way for you to get a suspect to make a mistake is to make them feel like they're not a suspect. Make them feel like they're getting away with it. And a lot of times, and this is, I don't want to go over into Jim areas of expertise, and I'm sure you can talk about this eloquently. I can't.
All right, let me slow this down because this is exactly what we were talking about the second week. This is mind-blowing to me.
But there's a certain psychological aspect to a post-crime perpetrator. And if this person is not a sophisticated individual, say they are sophisticated in a way that they're sociopathic, one of the things that sociopaths will want is they'll want credit. And if they feel like they're not garnering any attention, they might act out. And I think it could be a ploy to draw out a suspect.
Jim, curious about your thoughts about what Scott just said. And also, can you just remind the audience your profile that you've sort of created for this potential suspect or suspects?
Well, dealing with the first part, is this a law enforcement strategy? It could be. That was a big part of what we would do in the behavioral sciences section, dealing with a case that had gone about as far as it was going to go. We would start working on different strategies, and I won't expand on them too much because I don't want to torpedo anything that's going on in Moscow right now or any other case associated to this investigation. But there's a number of things we used to do, befriend, communicate with, and open up opportunity for a dialogue about person's involvement with a crime or knowledge about a crime. And many times he was in the presence of law enforcement and being recorded 8 ways from Sunday. And there are some cases where there's no more evidence to get. You need the evidence to come out of the suspect's mouth. And we would structure scenario around the suspect to engage him in conversation about it. And we received many, many admissions and confessions for violent crimes in the past. Profile, didn't really do a profile, Joel, but I do think that this is a targeted crime. He went in there, I believe it's a single offender. He went in there to kill everybody that was in the house or everybody he knew that was in the house. I think we can't ignore the fact that 3 of the victims are female. Now, that's who's living there. But if there's no other sign of robbery, these people aren't known for some particular office they hold or a function they perform. 3 were women. And we do find that that's the case in a lot of mass murders, school shootings, that the majority of victims are female. And that, of course, opens a lot of speculation as to, does the offender have some misogynistic dislike for women and targeted some of the women in the house.
And Scott, your specialty is obviously crime scenes, crime scene reconstruction, but you've covered enough cases and been around enough of these that I'm sure you have an idea in your own mind of who this suspect could be. Would you like to share that?
Yeah, sure. You can break down most murders in the United States into a couple of categories when it comes to a domestic murder, right? Somebody killed inside of their home where it's not related to robbery or anything like that, right? So most, I think 49% of all domestic related murders are an acquaintance, then a stranger, and then an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend. That is the big bucket of who we're looking at here. I think that's male, 18 to 35. And we're looking at either, now it could be a number of things, but in my mind.
Is that too fast for you guys? Should I put it down to 1.25?
I can understand it.
That's because my baby Chisme is Latina, and she can do the roll. Rojo.
Now I can't do it. Rojo.
Yeah, you can't do it. Polite and fascinating, this investigation is following the classic inside out of methodology, family, friends, locals, because usually that works but won't work in this case. Yeah. So he's getting ready to break it down what he thinks. I just totally agree with these last two shows that we've watched, and this will probably be the last update on the Idaho 4 for us until there's new news out, big news from the police. Okay, let's go. Can you guys all understand it in chat too fast? Okay, yeah, let me slow it down. All right, here we go.
Fine. If I was investigating this, I'd be looking at lovers, perceived lovers that were lost, because love can sometimes just go one way, a rejected lover. And then the other category is a phenomenon known, maybe just a term that just was invented in the last 10 years, 5 years ago, called an incel, an involuntary celibate individual. And these people, they tend to congregate.
God damn, I got a big mouth. I did not finish watching this interview, but another thing that we've all been, the majority of us talk about is I've always thought that he was an incel or impotent.
And the anonymous type of things, they tend to be heavily into violent video game culture. And listen, I'm a kid from the 80s. All right. I'm not trying to dump on video games or rock and roll music. Listen, I listen to rock and roll music. I'm not a bad guy. But you can't discount the cultural aspect of these types of behavior that breed solitary madmen. And if you look at the majority of the mass murders, whether it's and unfortunately, God forbid, they've been mostly these school shootings. These are isolated, ostracized, solitary individuals that lash out because of perceived insult by the community at large. And these girls, and I think the guy, sorry, Seth, I just tried to remember his name, Ethan, I'm sorry. I think he might have been a casualty, maybe because he didn't live there full time. So I think this house was all girls. And I think that what that house represented was something the killer didn't have, but wanted, which was either beautiful girls or love or friendship that either this person was never able to get or was denied specifically. And I think that is a profile that I would found pretty hard.
My gosh. Does he, I do not think Enon did it, but is he not completely describing Enon? And let's not forget Jeremy. I know Jeremy went in and did the DNA, but I'm not saying that they did it, but every single time they profile what the person's probably going to be like, it's like those two to a T.
Yes.
I'll show you. I'll turn on my camera in a minute, Shredder, and show you Fiona after this video.
Because Enon said that he always wanted to go crash the party, and he, if he lives in the brick apartments, then he could have just easily got out of his car, walked over to the wooded area, and just sat there. Or maybe it was just a known thing that the guys would just go and look at the girls, the college guys would go sit there. Like all the guys know that if you go over there, you can, look at the girls naked or whatever.
But
I'm
most
wondering
normal
if they had a
kids
group.
don't do that. This is voyeurism. This is an incel that's staring up in the windows, wishing he was part of that or had a girlfriend like
Yep.
that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, impotent incel, or the fact that, some people like the vampire, the scorpion killer, the vampire I was telling you about, the only way he could get, I hate to say it like this, an erection was when he was actually stabbing his victims, but he could not
Mm-hmm.
have it during the sex act of it. Okay, let's go.
Oh, for the
I know
boys.
you wanted to say about the whole incel community. What could you add?
Well, I got a pretty good rundown overview of what an incel is. It's a growing internet subculture that finds like-minded individuals in chat rooms and forums and 4chan, 8chan, things like that,
That's
and
right.
they form an online brotherhood. And the worrisome part is that they um, encourage others to violence. And it's actually considered an extremism. And we had a incel
I do.
mass murder in Toronto, Canada in 2018. And under our laws, they were able to charge him with terrorism-related murder because it's felt to be so extreme. And they're very much against feminism. They blame society, they blame their own genetics, they blame shallowness of women for them not being able to obtain a relationship or a sexual relationship. And the personality, very hateful, very misogynistic, that would definitely have to be a consideration for this investigative team.
So, Jim, I remember back in 2001, after the terror attacks, you always heard about the FBI monitoring, quote unquote, chatter. Does that go on in a situation like this? Can you bet that FBI agents are going into some of these 4chan meeting rooms and seeing if they can pick up clues? Are the authorities constantly monitoring what's happening online?
I wouldn't say anybody is policing the internet. That I think would be mission impossible for any agency. But yes, there are people that dip into the dark web and these chat rooms. I don't know if they're particularly looking for evidence of or reference to this, although there would be references to this. Like we noticed, like we collectively noticed that there was an increase in chatter from incels even after the Uvalde school shooting. And although the victims were quite young, the misogynistic concept was that they probably prevented young girls from growing up that would rebuff males down the road. So that was a good thing. And that just goes to show how toxic thinking and rigid thinking these people are. And they encourage new members and tend to groom and radicalize new members as well. So yes, this concept of incels has a potential to spawn future violent crime. There's no doubt about it.
Scott, great guess is what make this a great show. And in that vein, we had on
Enon.
She was an original FBI mindhunter working with that team. Her name's Ann Burgess, still working, 86 years old, very interesting. She talked about the change in crime from, let's say, the early 60s with the advent of technology. I'm just curious because you're really a tech guy. You're building things three-dimensionally, recreating crime scenes. So how do you think crime has changed, even in just the last bunch of years with the advent of
these are smart people. These people are not dumb inside of that home. Court of law, but social media is going to be extreme. My ideology is the truth. There's the modern day. I think that we've got all kinds of problems that help solve the crime, like social media. And I think, like what Jim said, I think DNA forensic evidence will be extremely important ultimately in the court of law. But social media is going to be extremely important to track down this killer, to bring him out of the weeds, because this killer, I think, is going to be tempted to jump into the conversation if he already isn't in the conversation online. And I think that they should have a number of these FBI powering Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and any other digital interactive format that these girls or anybody would have been involved in that could have brought in strangers or acquaintances from the outside to give them a glimpse inside of that home. See, that's where I think is the big thing. So now, if you're a killer out, you don't have to the other account and watch the videos and photographs and see their friends. These are smart people. These people are not dumb people hiding in the bushes with an axe. These are cold, calculated, motivated, research-based individuals. And that's what shows in this case. Because if this kid wasn't so sloppy, if this kid was sloppy, he'd be in handcuffs right now and we'd all be barbecuing him over a spit. But he's still out there. That means he's smart. He was careful.
Oh.
He planned this for a considerable period of time. And as far as he knows right now, he's getting away with it.
Yep.
And you bring up an interesting point. I mean, someone could be stalking potentially these people on Instagram, but the flip side of that is police can use social media as a tool to draw people in. And what was interesting, and I think I discussed this the last time Jim was on the show, after I did that episode with Ann Burgess and a very well-known psychologist who also studies serial killers, they flagged me right after the show and they said, hey, look at this one comment. And the one comment stood out from all the rest. It was very misogynistic. Jim, I sent that to you, I believe. Did that stand out to you in any way?
This is interesting.
Do you think the killer could be involving himself in online discussions the way Scott suggested?
Could be. You certainly can't eliminate that as a possibility. Yes, you did send me those comments that were received post. It's Gary Ricardo that picked that up, and you sent it to me. I did look at it. It was very much in line with the incel ideology. Although he that.
See, Paladin, I agree with that. I agree that but I still think that he would have fit in, went to work, but I still think that people would have thought that he was a little weird. I don't think he had a girlfriend. I think he was either impotent or he's an incel. Hello, Iconic. How's the baby crying baby doing? Tell French fries and brows I said hello. What do you think about that, Chisme?
What's that?
About what Paladin said. When the killer is found, will be someone others consider to be very normally adjusted and maybe with a wife and kids or many girlfriends, but he has unusual needs and urges, but he can't prevent. I don't think this guy has girlfriends. I think this guy is he tries to fit in, but he doesn't fit in because he's awkward.
Yeah, he's got a social what is it called? Antisocial, like a mental problem, maybe.
He might even have he might even suffer from a personality disorder.
Yeah,
we're gonna find out.
They just stand there, the type of guy that, let's say all of us are having a party and we're talking and everything, but he's just looking like he doesn't know how to jump in with a conversation, and then he'll jump in with a crazy sentence that doesn't even pertain, and we're like, what the heck? And then so they see everyone just staring at him, and then they're like, oh man, I messed up, I don't know what to say, stupid, they beat themselves up, and then they end up with the rage, kind of like Chris Watts.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mold Paladin, but I think he is. Maybe he was in the military and he was kicked out. I'm probably going to think it was maybe maybe the Marines, the Army. I also think that he's in his 30s, early 30s, and I just think that he's weird, awkward. I think that if Enon was not involved in the media and we were looking into him and we found out that he was a cook in the town and blah, blah, to me, he fits the profile to a T, but I don't think he did it. But I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he got arrested a little bit, but
if Enon did it, I would think that since he's really swift with the juggling fire, that he could have done it with, something sharp, because he's fast and he's strong, because he's used to not getting burnt so he would avoid getting cut. And yeah, it was a party central there because they were right in the middle of all of the fraternities, and I don't know if they had other types of buildings around there.
Yeah. All right.
I
Let's
guess the
get
band field. Yeah.
Banfield.
He followed it. He was making a stand on it, but he sure knew a lot about it. I didn't get the
Hey,
sense
Agnes.
from, it was a very arm's length type of
Hey,
comment.
wild dog.
And I didn't get the sense that there was specific knowledge of the crime. Certainly no bragging, no indication that he knew about it or had committed the crime. But he understands the mindset. Let's put it that way. And I think this might be an individual that struggles with social relationships as well. But yeah, that's the type of thing that law enforcement should be looking at and considering as a possible role. The incel crimes, they're very high profile. Often they're caught immediately after. It's like a spree, and they keep going. And there's often a component of suicide in it as well. And that's lacking out of this. Now,
I have a question for you, Jim. Here's my question. Do you think that the killer is surprised that he hasn't been caught yet?
No, a lot of killers have a wish to avoid apprehension. He's clearly not doing anything that's drawing attention to himself right now. Like you say, as far as he sees it, he's getting away with it right now.
Damn.
And whether it's by more good luck than good management, it's hard to say. But you can't commit a crime like that without leaving evidence of yourself at the scene, and they're going to get it. And whether he's on a DNA database or not, they're going to eventually trip across him and ask for a DNA sample, I would think.
Scott, we've all seen the home in Moscow. You obviously through different lens and as it pertains to someone following these young 4 people home or waiting inside already. Do you have a take one way or the other on that?
Well, I think it could be either or. After looking at the property, and I'm actually in the process right now building a 3D model of the exterior of the home and the surrounding property. There's woods behind the house and a chain link fence, and there's other property behind there. So somebody could have been lying in wait, waiting for them to get home without a car even being present. And then when they left, they could just hop the fence and just get over that way. That's why one of the first things I wanted to have done the day of the murder was you get every bloodhound from every dog sniffing professional agency out there. And I'm a proud owner of a German short-haired pony, one of the best noses in the business. You get 10, 12 of those dogs out there, and they're going to pick up anybody who was in that house when you canvass that neighborhood with those dogs. Excuse me.
But they didn't do that, right?
Nope.
They didn't do that. And they didn't have it available. It's a small department. The state highway patrol's not even going to have that. Most of those dogs are.
That's why I feel they should have a protocol.
My dog was trained cadaver. A tornado.
Yeah, but they should have at least had one. I mean, wait a second. Are you serious? So we have a quadruple murder, and not one dog was brought out to see if they could track this guy's scent? What?
They would have tracked someone who was there at the time, and because they would have smelled the blood and all that. The dogs.
How weird. You know what? Wow. They did.
They should have had all kinds of dogs, a cadaver dog, one that for drugs, one for bombs, one for.
I think. Well, I don't know about bombs, but I think a bloodhound and a tracking dog probably would have been good.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, because they would have tracked the knife down because it would have had the people that were all involved. Would have had their smell.
Yeah, I don't think the killer's letting go of this knife. This knife, in my opinion, means something to him. Okay, let's go.
Regarding
Go ahead. Go ahead. Regarding what?
Regarding Jack the Ripper, which is in the chat, they said that, well, it's been studied, and there's a possibility that he could have been a medical student or a doctor, a professor, and they needed the body parts so they could study them. So back then, they would kidnap people, and or they would dig the graves to get the body parts so they could study them. But I don't know; it hasn't been solved yet.
Oh, okay.
But that's what some people say is there's a possibility.
I'm not gonna go with that one. I mean, it's anything's a possibility, but I am thinking what everyone that we've listened to tonight is
Same
what's
thing.
going on. But Pilad and I are disagreeing. He thinks he's gonna fit in like being like maybe the professor at the university, or I don't know, but I think this guy is definitely awkward to everyone. It just sounds like Enan's twin brother.
Or some kind of a catastrophe to go in and see if we can help recover bodies. So a lot of that is privately held dogs that are trained, and then it's a volunteer force. Unless you're a big department where you have that, kind of a canine unit. A lot of canine units are for defense, tracking people down, or drug sniffing. Finding people is a different kind of a training. Not every dog can do all of those skills. It's very specific skill training. So that would be a hard thing to garner. But if that's something that you could think of right away, you could bring the dogs in, sterilize that scene as much as you can.
Me too, Pilad. I'm glad you enjoy it because I love listening to everybody else's theories.
Those dogs onto a scent of somebody that was recently in that house. And if somebody did jump over that back fence and through the woods, you would know right then and there. Or if they got away in a car, they'd take you down the road through that car. But let me get back to your original question. Could you restate that? Because I kind of took us on a little bit of a sidetrack.
Could have took us to the Elantra.
I think so. Oh, the 3D nature. Yeah. The 3D nature of the house. So one of the first things that I would do when you get in that scene is you bring in a 3D LiDAR scanner, and to not disturb the blood or the bodies, I would leave the bodies there. I would leave the blood there, leave everything there until you have a 3D laser scan. And now, I just recently acquired a piece of technology where you could fly a drone indoors and do a 3D scan with a drone. So you don't even have to disturb the scene, and you can just fly through the house. I did in a very free way when I did the Oscar Pistorius case down in South Africa. That was a very bloody scene. I was there a week after it happened, and that was one of the techniques that I did was a drone. Now you can actually attach 3D laser to those drones, extrude that into 3D, and then it's about analyzing the interrelationship of each piece of physical and forensic evidence from a causation standpoint. I think there's still so much to learn, and they haven't even gotten to the stage of reconstruction on this crime yet, because right now they're still processing the blood, processing the hair, the tissue, trying to delineate the overlapping of the forensic evidence, because a lot of that's going to be so complicated. I was thinking about it, like if I walked into that scene, first responder, where do you start? Where do you start? It's such an overwhelming task. And if you've never done that before, you're not going to know what to do first. So I give a lot of credit for those guys. And listen, these police officers might even be going through post-traumatic stress right now for what they've seen.
Like I said.
I've had some situations where I've been on scene where I was unexpectedly confronted with a dead body that was decapitated, or that was under a floorboard.
My gosh. Could you
under
imagine?
A floorboard?
I would just pass. Decapitated under a floorboard. I would just pass out. I would be done.
One day I'll tell you a story about a relative.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, on Madalena Kojo Koro. That another one.
For 3 weeks in the Phoenix sun, and I passed out. It was just a shock. The sense,
I would have passed out.
The visual of it, it's a shock. So I wouldn't be surprised if these guys, had a hard time.
Yeah, they're young guys. Jim, to Scott's point, I know you're more on the profiling side. You're the lead investigator. You walk into that crime scene, 4 bodies brutally murdered. Jim,
we're going to do a quick overview without contaminating anything. You're going to go through and just see what it is you have, and then probably your forensic people are going to go in, and I would, if I was the lead investigator, I'd ask for an overview video, just rough data, do each room, do the movement between room to room, do a survey of
See,
broken
all
windows,
departments
open
do
door
it differently.
locks, everything else, and then everybody withdraws, and then the forensic
Yep.
people go in and they start doing
Hey, 2-foot Fred.
room by room of everything that's there, recovering the evidence. And I'm not, they probably have different teams for exterior and interior, but I think you'd let the same people go through and do all the interior work. You probably have them supported by maybe one detective in there making observations of them. Everybody else would be doing the interviewing and getting the other people in the house, reaching out to parents, talking to best friends and things like that to upload as much evidence as you get. Body removal from the scene, they go for a postmortem examination. That's a whole other story. Normatively, the police go and accompany them and observe the procedures. And it's the first couple of days are very intense of assimilating a whole mountain of information. And you start generating tips and leads and assign them, and your manager manages and the investigators.
This is where I want to go Joe Rogan on you guys and keep you here for.
Could you imagine how much phone data would have been if they don't say they dumped the towers. I'm sure they have, but could you even imagine just the phone data and dumping those towers with those college kids? Oh.
Yeah, because like us, I don't know about you, but I do part-time, but I might spend half a day working on editing and all of that, producing a video or two. And imagine them, they don't have that many people and they have to do 2,000 something media. They have to check out the media clips. So it might be 10 or 15 per day that they can do. So it is going to take a while.
Absolutely, 4,000 crime scene photos. So it's not even
4,
about going. I just said 4,000, and it's not even about going through the photos themselves. It's about that is actually how much evidence in the house that they have to go through.
Plus, yes, and all the other stuff.
And then they come back, like the two guys that just showed up the other day with that case. I think that they saw something in the evidence as they were going through it and they weren't sure of something and they had to go back and collect a little to see if they missed something at a certain area, why they were in and out. Like they knew exactly what they were going in for.
Yeah, and they could have, maybe they would have secret apps. The kids, they're not kids, but they're young adults. They should have check it off.
You got a little bit of delay. And considering all of those, it could have been that they put down marker 8 and they took a picture of it, but maybe they forgot to swab it. I mean, it could have been something so minute and people are making it out to be just crazy.
Yeah. Something could have been inconclusive. So then you have to go and do another test to see if it's going to be positive or negative.
Or it could have been a picture that they looked at and they said, hey, look at that little area right there. And notice that area right there maybe wasn't swabbed or checked for fingerprint. I mean, it could have been anything. But it was definitely on the second floor. All right, here we go.
3 hours, which we can't do, but we got time left and a bunch more. Scott, it's interesting. You're building the exterior, constructing the exterior of the home. I'm just curious, how long does a process like that take for you? And is that just for your own edification to build that and look at it, or are you using that from some other purpose?
No, I'm just doing it for my purpose because I've been following this case. This case has really affected me just on a personal standpoint. I mean, my daughter's 25 years old. I have two sons that are older than that now, 30 and 27, and I feel real. want to try to contribute something. So once I get it done, and it takes about 6 hours to get it done. From that standpoint, it gives you the ability to manipulate it and control it inside of that 3D environment. And there's a couple things that I looked at
I like
just
his
from the
Christmas
exterior.
tree.
Is, we have that ladder that's sitting right there. Above the ladder on the second floor seems to be a red
Ooh.
staining area. Could be dirt, could be blood on that roof. It'd be interesting to know,
Yeah.
I think the height of that ladder, how many feet it is from that ladder to that second landing, to see, how tall somebody would have to be to get comfortably from that ladder to that roof and into that window. And then spinning it around so that you can see from every surrounding property who could see in and who could see out. I think that's going to be important for witness statement, impeachment, and verification.
See, I disagree with that. I'm starting to think that he was definitely there before they got there. And I'm going to go look at the floor plan because that other sliding glass door on the other side of the kitchen under Maddie's room, what is that room? Is that the other empty bedroom?
Yeah, that's the empty bedroom. That's the empty bedroom that they said Dylan could have been in.
I get that, but then hey, okay, here, okay, let's finish this up a little bit.
Witnesses in the ones that seem somewhat consistent, somewhat inconsistent, but then again, there's tons of rumor involved in it now. So, but I think it's a good tool to examine people's testimony. And now I did find one piece of information from a forensic standpoint that I think is really important. And it was from this one YouTuber, Truth and Transparency, Lana Rani. Fantastic work she does. And she went and found on the Wayback Machine, which is a website. I apologize, that's my phone. Cancel that real quick. Okay. On the Wayback Machine, the University of Idaho website, the night of the murders went down. The server went down at 11:58 p.m. and the server went back up at 6:58 p.m. So the website server for the University of Idaho was down in the window of the planning, the murder, and the getaway of the murder. And what that means is if that's down, all security cameras communicating with the University of Idaho campus would have been shut down as well. And I think somebody would have, now those anomalies happen, when internet goes down all the time. But the thing that tipped us off to it was in one of the original day one photographs, you see the TV through the sliding glass windows and it said no signal. Now, there's no reason why that signal would have been cut unless that house lost power. Or so the chance, I would think that everybody still lived there, so they're still paying their bills. I'm sure they probably still had TV.
Cats can be assholes.
So for that to say no signal, and then the Wayback Machine on the night of the murder saying that the security camera footage on the website for the University of Idaho was down in the critical time of the planning act and the getaway of the murder, I think that's an awful coincidence and needs to be looked into.
And that's been confirmed that the website was down?
Yeah. Anybody can look at it. You go to the waybackmachine.com, type in University of Idaho, and you'll see that their server was down for that 6-hour window.
And Jim, assuming that is true and corroborated, do you agree with Scott? Does that need to be looked into? Is it possible that the perpetrator purposely brought that down?
Well, I would think anybody that sophisticated, I'm not a tech guy, but that would seem very sophisticated to me. And anybody that sophisticated probably would go up a different weapon than a knife. And yeah, sure. Assign somebody to ask the tech guy for the university, what's up? What happened there? Glitches like this do happen. My internet's down all the time. Our provider in this area is not 5G. And stuff like that happens, and there's always a workaround. You just got to shake your head and say, we're not going to get any evidence out of that. If all this stuff is down, if the cameras aren't working, we can't count on that. So you're going to look for other cameras that might be helpful to you. You're always going to try and maximize evidence that's available. If that's not available to you, that's unfortunate. But talk to the tech department and see what explanation they give. And it might just be one of those things. Broke our don't know. Stuff like that happens, and it's unfortunate, but That's the way it goes. I can't tell you the number of surveillance cameras at homicide scenes I've looked at, and it's hanging on the wall, but it's not working. Or
all you gotta do is ask. All you have to. And I don't mean to make a joke, but ask Jeffrey Epstein's about the cameras not working, right?
That's interesting, and right away you can see profiler mind, because right away he says if the computers went down, this guy wasn't using a knife. It's interesting to look at the mind.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that, Jim. Just for not to be combative, but thinking about it, if you think about Idaho, that place is set in a bit of a canyon, and it's a quiet neighborhood, right? Or it's a quiet area. It's not like Cleveland, Ohio, or Los Angeles. A gunshot is going to ring out in Idaho for miles. I wouldn't use a gun. If I would use a knife, because one thing about a knife is they're quiet as long as you kill the victims quickly. But guns are loud. And I think that kind of wide open spaces in a canyon where everything echoes, I think I would not expect a gun to be used. And plus, I think a knife is, I wouldn't call a knife unsophisticated. Knife is personal, right? And knife is almost sexual. And that it penetrates.
That's pretty Freudian.
Well, there's aspects to it. I've never seen a knife murder that wasn't personal.
Mm-hmm.
What I would look at for a knife murder is how the knife was used. If you want to look at sophistication, composure, confidence, and strength, you look at whether the wounds are instrumental. I'm going to kill you, and I was able to do it with 3 solid stab wounds to your chest. But those that lack criminal experience
on video games
and are unable to control their victims, you see longer protracted battles, and this guy's trying to get the knife into his victim, and they're resisting, and the wounds change. You get glancing blows, you get superficial wounds, you get movement indicated in the shape of the wound and everything else. Those that are experiencing
Agnes, he left his
violence
phone at home, I think.
And I can't say a sophisticated person would never use a knife. People use what's available to them, what they're familiar with, and what they're good at when it comes to weapon selection. And not
a K-bar.
Talking about firearms and whatnot, them being so loud. I stood at the front door of a house one night, went off in the house, and I never heard the bang. And this was not a real urban area. This was more rural. Canadian houses are well insulated, I'll give you that. But we knew that there was a gun at play in the house, and I was listening intently at the door. Someone shot themselves inside the house. I never heard. So
maybe
you got to be there. You got to do a test run to be able to say somebody would have heard a gun. I'd say fire off a couple blanks in the house and measure them and see what's detectable.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at stealthiness, right? If you're looking to get away with it and you're trying to be as stealthy as possible, and listen, we don't know. We haven't seen the photographs. I think we're trying to, put ourselves in the mind of what are good questions to ask, right, Jim? And I'm not saying I'm right.
That's it.
I'm just saying that it's a question to consider.
I would agree.
And Scott, to you, crime scene challenges with a small police department. There's been a lot of talk about Moscow. It's a town of 26,000 people. They say that the lead investigator has 2 years at that department. What are the challenges with collection, contamination issues, laboratory processing, and also does the FBI involvement help with that?
I think the answer to your second question is yes. The FBI involvement helps with that. I'm not going to dump on a small police department. Listen, there's a reason why I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and not Los Angeles. There's a reason why people live in Idaho and not Chicago, is because you want to be in a town where there's not a lot of crime. In small towns, there's not a lot of crime. And so you can't blame a small town for not being prepared to deal with a big crime. So I'm not blaming them whatsoever. I know they're doing the best that they can. And they had the Idaho State Police, which are very experienced, that were there right away. FBI, my understanding, was there day 2, which is extremely helpful. Now, in processing the crime scene, that's very challenging because you have blood and fibers and tissue and potentially fingernails and saliva, hair, clothing fibers.
I keep hearing
that are
Washington
from one
a lot.
victim to the other victim in the bed in all kinds. And I'm sure it's a bunch, kids living there. It's not a clean house with things all tidy and whatnot, right? So that's a tremendous challenge on how to collect it, how to bag it. And then the FBI is going to be extremely helpful in the Idaho Department of Bureau of.
I looked into the Calgary murders.
Oh yeah,
I read up on it, a lot of it actually. Yeah,
you had it
but I
on
could
here.
not find the one in Washington that Paladin spoke about. But I did research the one in Calgary.
Investigations, which every state has their own laboratory, but I'm sure a lot of it's going to the FBI. I'm sure the FBI is helping on collecting it. Now, here's the problem. Now, I think there's still valuable evidence in the house today, right now. Matter of fact, I worked on a case in Boston just about a year ago where it was a murder. The question was it suicide? Was it murder? And then I went in there 3 weeks after it happened, and I dug a bullet out of the wall that was missed by initial first responders because they were dealing with the dead body. So I think going back into that house even today is extremely important. Going on the carpet, on the floor, everywhere inside of that house, looking for something. And like Jim said, you always leave a trace. Edwin McCarr developed that principle a long time ago. Whenever you leave a room, you leave something. Whenever you enter a room, you leave something behind and you take something with you. That killer left something behind, whether it was something.
The what, Chisme?
I was just saying, what did I say? I forgot what I said. I'm sorry. I remember.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was only like 3 seconds, right? And I forgot. Oh my gosh. It was something they were talking about.
Wait. Okay, hang on. Let's go back a little hair.
Watch me not remember.
Let's see if we can refreshify your memory.
Or do you remember what it was?
How do I know what you were going to say?
Principle.
No, I had already said
it. Whenever you leave a room, you leave something. Whenever you enter a room, you leave something behind and you take something with
you. Okay, talking about leaving something behind as an evidence. Hello, AJH. Were you going to say something about that?
Mm-mm.
Leaving evidence behind on the shoes, on this, on that. You had to have left something behind. You cannot kill 4 people and 2 have self-defensive wounds and they didn't get something. Fiber, skin cells. He cut himself. I mean, that could be the killer's blood on the side of the house. He could have been leaning up against there to see if anybody was coming.
Bracing himself.
Never know.
With you. That killer left some clothes there. He's got something that's still there in that house. That house needs to be secured. I think all that carpet needs to be taken out of the house and bagged up and taken back to the FBI. Carpet. And they need to go over that carpet with a fine-tooth comb looking for anything out of place because there is going to be a suspect at some point that's going to submit to forensic testing. And you need to have a sample, not just a section of carpet, the whole carpet. Not just part of the bed, the whole bed,
hardwood
all
floors.
of the clothes, anything that was exposed, left out, the contents of the garbage can, everything, nearby dumpsters, everything needs to be collected and brought back and preserved. This is a big crime scene. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, because what if the guy did something nasty, like even on her clothes, in the closet? Maybe he got a pair of panties. Like, who knows? He left something there. But he's a smart dude. I mean, he's definitely... I just can't believe he has not been caught yet.
Oh, well, I remembered something else I was going to say. There is a video of Jack balancing an axe on his chin. And he can balance anything on his chin because he can balance a chair. They show him maybe about 8 things that he can balance on a video on TikTok.
Who?
Jack D. An axe. He can balance it on his chin. I'll try to find it right now. Yep.
Okay, you're going to have to show that at the end.
Let me try to find it on TikTok.
Yeah, you're going to have to share that at the end. Okay, guys, let's finish this up. We're almost there.
Sit there. You can always go back to it, but don't release that house until you have an arrest.
And this is particularly interesting. This episode will publish on Tuesday of this week. Investigators were back at the house with a black Pelican type briefcase. And I asked Brinderson again at First 48, who was on the show, did you ever go to a home? And he said, he kind of laughed at me and said he's gone back to the crime scenes 3 months after the fact. So it's not it's not so unusual, Jim, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. Scott's right that there's sampled and collected and articles and vetting, clothing each victim.
See, guys, so stop freaking out that somebody came back for 20 minutes with a black case to collect something. I mean, some of these people look so deep into it that I'm just like, oh.
And all of those are going to be preserved, like handled properly,
Hey,
dried,
Bird.
examined for, knife tears, things like that. Even tears in seam that might be suggestive that there was a struggle. He was trying to grab the victim was pulling away and ripped the seam. Even that's going to be examined and interpreted. Cross-contamination, you might get contamination, commingling of bodily fluids that would suggest a certain order of activity that would provide you with the sequence of events and assist in a reconstruction.
Paladin, that's what I've said from the get-go.
Scott would do the video that would help illustrate it to the investigative team and the court, because the big point in all of this is not just solve the crime, it's solve it in a way that's going to be to a court standard and allow for the meaningful communication of all the evidence and demonstration of the evidence to a court, so a jury or a judge can make the appropriate decisions about somebody's guilt or innocence.
There's one more point that Scott had mentioned that I want to go over, and then if you guys will indulge me, we'll take some viewer comments and we'll call it
what, Maureen?
A wrap. But Scott, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the family investigation.
The neighbor
I know we've heard
and
from
the ex-boyfriend can both juggle.
Got an attorney. Does this complicate, Scott? Does it complicate the investigation from a law enforcement standpoint?
I don't think so. I think you have to give the family a lot of latitude here. I know if it was me, for me.
You know what? And let's not forget the Google Maps where Ethan came from. And then when I put in Enon Harsh's address, it comes up at the same building as Ethan. That's weird too.
And Ray, he juggles with fire.
Yeah, I have a picture of him. No, I have a picture.
I sent the video to you where he's on Discord, and I sent a picture of the bottom room that you're talking about by the kitchen.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that, but we still have one more little short video after this one, and then we're gonna go look into Reddit because they got some new posts out.
Yeah, you're the boss.
I am not the boss.
Órale, jefa.
No lo sé.
Well, órale could mean like 20 different things.
No lo sé. Poquito.
Private investigators and experts doing what I solved the crime for my family. So I would never, ever criticize Steve Gonzalez for doing what he's doing. And what you have to do, I think, in law enforcement, instead of complaining, and I don't know if they're complaining or not, but instead of being critical of the father and his parallel investigation, open up. Work with his family, sign, have an agreement of confidentiality. Okay, Steve, you can still have your private thing, but let's have a powwow. Let's talk together. Let's share the data. And I think the reason that Steve is going out there and maybe flying off the handle a little bit to the media and being overly critical is because he's not getting enough information. And I don't know why that is. The first and last person.
Because he's got a big mouth.
The parents of all four of these kids. Call them when you wake up. Call them when you go to bed. These are your clients, right? Your clients are kids.
Okay, I get this. But we know so much now because of Steve, of the wounds to his daughter. We know what type of knife it was. I mean, if he continues to be told and puts things out there, would he rather know now and not get a conviction for his daughter? Or would he rather know later and get a conviction for his daughter? That's what this all comes down to, Steve Goncalves. Stop. Let's get this person behind bars, and then you'll go to the court and hear everything, and then he can go to jail. I understand, but I would rather want to have this person convicted for what the person did instead of knowing right now. Because I don't even know if I could wrap my head around knowing right now, because that just might send me over the edge to completely go out and go nuts.
Yeah, the RN coroner lawyer shouldn't have started that.
Exactly. You are absolutely correct. But I think that it's
got one right. Just kidding.
But I think it's definitely more important to get a conviction and not get the information leaked so that everyone knows and there's nothing left. But they have to hold something back, I'm sure. But Steve needs to understand that this needs to be kept under wraps until they arrest someone. Maybe Steve needs to talk to a therapist and he'll understand better and they can explain it to him better. Because he's got a temper.
He's going through the 5 stations of Kubler-Ross, and the first one is denial.
Yep.
Tarot reading is an occult, Agnes Lamb. Not the way I do it. Oh, she does tarot, Agnes Lamb.
Oh, nice. But we have to remember that Steve has a background in the 90s of being a bad boy. I mean, it's there. Possession.
Well, his brother.
And then, he was a bad boy in the 90s when he was in his 20s. Also, his brother is in jail for murder. So we know that Steve has a temper and he probably has a little anger management going on. And I'm sure this really set it off. But he needs to talk to somebody and just understand that we need a conviction and not everything leaked out over the media, because I really don't think it's the public's business right now to know what happened to your daughter and what the injuries are. I think that should remain private.
And
eventually
you should have
it's going
people
to come
assigned
out
to talk to these people twice a day.
Exactly.
Giving them up to
but that's my opinion.
And what you do is you just modify what you're
Lana,
doing.
I heard they added 2 more
what they're
stages,
doing.
but I forgot which
who knows?
ones.
Maybe they'll shake something out of the weeds because they're not bound by the same rules as law.
We're going to watch that. That's the short video we're going to watch next. And the other thing about the car and the new surveillance. But they actually, I think they put 14 new FBI agents
I would say maybe not encourage them for investigation, but allow them, understand it, be considerate. I think share information and certainly accept any information that they've uncovered on their own. And who knows, maybe something comes out. But I think where this possibly a hot lead comes from is from the Gen Zs out there in the community, right? This is the first Gen Z major kind of murder case where all of these kids of this age group are kind of bringing in. There's slang that these kids use that you and I and Jim don't use, emojis, reactions, things that we have no idea about, that kids this age are going to have some insight. So I think they're going to need to have people this age involved in the investigation to help them interpret the social media language and interactions and all that stuff to see what are the hidden meanings behind some of these veiled comments and posts pre-murder, during, and then the post stuff I don't think is going to be important, but forensically going back a year or two on all 4 of these people's Facebook page, Twitter page, Reddit, Snapchat, whatever they have out there, forensically going back on that is going to be critical.
A lot of work to be done. Let's get to some comments, tweets, and
all right. We're not going to get into the comment part of it, even though I love the comment part. But like I said, guys, all the videos that we have played tonight are already in the description. Okay. Before we get in, I got one more video that's on. We might do one more live the day after tomorrow, because I'm going to do I'm going to put together like a timeline of like when the cops were there and show the video to the house to when supposedly at what time they were coming home, and
Mm-hmm.
but I wanna just
There's
touch
one out
on,
there. Hi,
huh?
Lisha. I said there's a timeline out there. I think Sleuthy made it.
Yeah, I have the timeline.
Oh,
We've
okay. I
gone
thought you
over
were
it.
going to make one.
No, no,
Agnes.
no.
Oh, I like tarot readers.
I want to put my own timeline together as far as like with the video at the food truck and.
Oh yeah. Yes.
All right, 1 second.
Yeah, I sent Mar that video of the axe that Jack D has.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play that right now. I'm gonna play one more. 1 sec.
When I saw the social media of them partying and everything, they were having a wild time. But when I saw a video of that party that night, it's real solemn, and people are just standing around. They're not yelling, and all that like they usually do.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a timeline where all the players and where all the players were supposed to be.
Yes,
But
good
right now, I'm
idea.
just looking for where is that video? Hang on 1 sec, guys. Here it is. Okay, this one's only 14 minutes long. 1 sec. And we'll speed it up.
Oh, yeah, I saw that a shredder.
And then we're gonna.
About
I
the
want to
teacher.
talk. Oh, sorry, babe. I didn't hear you talking. Go ahead.
No, I was telling Shredder that I had heard about that one tarot reader that said named the person that she feels was involved, and it was a teacher, and she named her by name. So now she's getting sued.
Oh. All right. This is the last kind of news update video I want to play tonight, and then we're gonna look at the Reddit videos. See if 4chan's got anything new. But I want to show you guys this really great video that I found today on Hidden True Crime. And it's a 3D of the rooms and how he explains it. And I want to see that room that's in the front of the house and then go back onto the body cam footage that I downloaded, because people are trying to make it think like Dylan was supposed to be sleeping in that second floor room, but then she went down to the first floor because she thinks that, and that was maybe the target. I don't believe that. I think the target was Kaylee. And
Yeah,
I think,
Alicia.
yep. I think maybe that creep saw her come back into town that night, because people have to remember she was not living in Moscow. She had been gone for a couple of weeks. She only came in that night to show her best friend her car, go out one last time with the group because she was moving to Texas and starting her new job on January 1st. Could that have pissed Jack Decor off? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jack could have freaked out and did it and put the dog in the bedroom, and that's why the dog had no blood on him. Absolutely. But I'm probably going to say if that was the case, he would have been arrested by now.
Well, his
But that's my own
DNA's been
opinion.
there the whole time. I mean, since he was with her for 5 years, his DNA is already there.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jack doing that. And then Ethan and Xana, like, I don't see it. I see this being somebody I've been saying since week 2. 30-year-old incel. Doesn't fit in. Yeah, Paladin and I don't agree on this. Okay. Let's listen to this. This was the latest update out, like, I don't know, 6 hours ago.
For tips through the mail. mailed out 5,000 flyers this to homes, businesses, about
So beautiful, these girls.
Done something with flyers. The first go around about a week after the murders, they passed them out around town and posted
Somebody
them
could have been
in different
jealous because
areas.
they had their
Anna Cronodle,
the elite.
Ethan, Maddie Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves were found murdered in the home on King Road near campus on November 13th. Cronodle's family has also established a scholarship at the University of Idaho in her name and in her memory.
Aww.
The certification along with the
Hey, Jay, stop.
Yeah, if it's not,
I
I'll
agree,
apologize to
Jay,
Jack
with
too.
Jack. Like, I don't think it's Jack. Chisme thinks that Jack did it, and I respect her opinion. I got about like a 2% corner in my brain that it could have been Jack. And the only reason why was because she didn't seem to see him while she was back in town. She didn't seem to post to him. And then, of course, we hear her saying, Maddie, what did you tell Adam? I told Adam everything. And we know that Adam's the bartender at the corner bar. And he was also a fraternity brother to Jack. And we know that that was the apartment with Murphy on the couch or the chair was at Adam's house. So did Kaylee tell Maddie that she thought Adam was hot or something like that, and
She wants
that's
to
what he
be with
told her,
him.
and then it could have been damage control, is why they made all the phone calls to Jack when they got home, like you told you whatever it was, and then the phone calls coming in make sense to the phone calls, and like I
Yeah,
have to go with what Cass said. It's almost like a damage control,
yeah.
like Kaylee was trying to find out what Jack knew or if Jack was mad, and maybe he did know and he didn't answer it, but I just don't think he did it.
Mhm.
I just don't
If one
feel
of
he
my
did it.
girlfriends, if one of my girlfriends did that, I would be like, "Hey, what did you tell Rogelio or whatever?" You know, because I used to date Rogelio. I would be like, "What'd you tell Rogelio?" And she's like, "I told him everything he said." And I'm like, "No, why? Now he's gonna get mad." You know, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I better call him." Like you said, damage control. And I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna call him." Shit, he's not answering. Fuck, man. You know, he's gonna find out. He's gonna know. You know,
I
and
mean, right? And he's 20 years old. Is Jack Decor a hunter? That I never looked into. I know Showwater's a hunter,
he's right in that area of the Coeur d'Alene.
but he comes from the exact area where Xana and Maddie, Kaylee, and then you've got him there.
Yeah,
You
I
got
think he
Ethan.
didn't answer the phone because he left it at home.
You've got Ethan and good old Enon coming from the same area. Okay, let's get into this,
The
guys.
same
Getting late.
area and same address now.
But it's not even the same address. It's like, I'll show you guys again because we made a Google map. Oh, I got to drop that link for members. I forgot. We actually made a Google map of where everyone grew up at. Even though Ethan and Enon have different addresses in Washington State, if I put Enon in Google Earth, and I'll show you afterwards, and then I search them and then clear it and put Enon in, it takes me right to either or. Hey, no way.
Yeah,
No,
you showed the
Jack Decor
building.
is 20. All right, let's go, guys. Let's go.
So at this point in time, we're processing tips.
I'm grabbing a drink.
The incident. Our investigators really have a full
Yeah,
idea
they've been
of what
together
occurred and which
since
direction that they need to go.
junior high school, I think.
The last time we spoke, when I was in Idaho, a couple of weeks ago, you said the picture was becoming more clear. A couple of weeks has passed now. How much more clear is that picture now?
Yeah, and we keep using
I'll
this
show
picture
them
analogy,
that.
but it is true. The further we get into this, the more evidence that we receive back from our crime labs. We've been receiving it all along now. The more analytics that we have, the more that we're able to see really what occurred. Again, we use the word context. We're trying to develop context, talking with the various people that were around that. We've done over 250 interviews. So really, we are getting a clearer picture as we go. The question then becomes, how long does it take to have a full picture? We're not sure. This is a very complex investigation, has a lot of different ins and outs in it. And so from the crime scene itself, to the fraternity house, to the businesses downtown, there's a lot of things that we need to know, and there's potential for a suspects to be in any of the pictures or any of the videos. And so we really have to review things and take a real thorough look at this entirety of the crime.
Hey there, everybody. Jesse Weber here from Sidebar. On our next episode of Prime Crime, it is a case truly unlike any other. Darrell Brooks Jr. This was the man accused of driving an SUV through a holiday parade, leaving a path of death and destruction behind him. Not only do we examine the footage from that day, but also the trial, where we saw things that no one could have predicted.
Since he wanted to make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate on the record since you think you know so much.
I'm also told that he is threatening to throw and break items.
I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with me.
Tune into Prime Crime on Friday, December 23rd at 8 p.m.
Remember that
Eastern.
game?
Captain Lanier said in one of the videos recently that you all have been able to see patterns. And it sounds like patterns from your leads and possibly from the video. And he was talking about how they are confident, you all are confident, that somebody in that Hyundai Elantra, the white Hyundai Elantra, between the years of 2011 and 2013, has information that is critical to this case. That to me sounds like, saying you're confident, you're pretty certain. And it sounds like that vehicle we've heard it was in the immediate area. And we've also heard through another spokesperson that it was there. How close was this Hyundai Elantra to the house?
So we haven't exactly specified, but we do believe that it was in the immediate area of the residence around the time frame that we believe, was the night of. And so we think that the occupant or occupants of that vehicle potentially saw or heard or knows something about this case. And so that's why we put the information out. The information came through tips and leads. And so as we processed it, we think that the occupant has some information to provide to us, which is why we put it out.
I've likened the search for this Hyundai Elantra to a search for the needle in the haystack. We know you've eliminated one of those vehicles as being the Elantra found in Eugene, Oregon, that had been involved in a vehicle crash that belonged to a woman, and it was registered out of Colorado. So you've already eliminated that one. That leaves 21,999 or so to go. So what's the progress on that? What's the update on working through that list of vehicles? Because that's a huge number of vehicles, and is that a nationwide list, or what can you tell us about that?
So I'll be a tiny bit more generic about it, but it is a list of vehicles that potentially could be in this area. It's received through all sorts of different sources and databases. And so as we look at that list, obviously, the ones that could be close to the area might be important. And then as the ripples and as it gets a little further out, maybe those vehicles potentially would be less likely to be involved in an incident of this nature. And so, we're able to, as we go through this list, we're looking for, again, different patterns and different trends. And so as we're putting it all together, we're hoping that something come to light and that we'll be able to use that to move forward.
We noticed too in one of the recent updates that TBI agents have been added to this case. Can you tell us why that number increased from last week from 46 to 60?
Well, Enan said that.
So what we tried to do when we put out those numbers is
where
give
they
people
partied,
a
it was
snapshot
like an
in time of what's
amphitheater.
occurring in this investigation. That's why we update the number of tips and the number of leads and the number of digital images and those types of things that we receive. We would like the public to understand the volume of information that we're processing and the number of people who are currently working on this case. So really, that's a snapshot in time. So as various projects come and go, those numbers will increase and decrease. And so, saying that we have additional FBI personnel assigned to this case is a little bit of a misnomer. As well, we have, I think, 25 ISP, Idaho State Police. Those are the ones that are here and working on the case. That doesn't include the other ISP detectives and troopers throughout the entire state who are assisting in interviews and those kinds of things. So really what we're trying to do is we're just trying to show a picture to our community, letting them know the volume and just the sheer magnitude of this case.
You have more than 10,000 tips. I think the number's hovering around 15,000 now. That is a huge number. I don't know if people truly understand how much information that is and how much that is to go through. So how many of these have you been able to rule out as maybe not being fruitful, or where are you in that process?
So I don't have the exact number of tips and leads that we have actually processed. But leads and tips go through them, and so there's a process to analyze each and every one of those leads and look at and review those leads and then assign them a priority. And so leads that potentially are based on other information that we have in the case, those are assigned a higher priority, and we start working on those. But we are dedicated and motivated to process each and every one of those and actually analyze them and review them and make sure that they don't contain something that we really need for this investigation. We truly do believe that there's out there, or maybe information that has already been provided, that is going to be the key to unlocking this entire crime, this entire investigation.
I've covered cases in the past where it was a nugget came to the investigators, something that might seem small, but it was a thread that they pulled on, and it kind of just kept, they kept pulling on it, and it led to more information. In your experience,
that's a lot of phone
how
calls.
important is that? Because it could be just one thing or a couple of things that really open a pathway to leading to who did this.
That's 100% correct. I truly believe that there's going to be a piece, or maybe
they should give a sleuth one, and then they'll look for everything.
Their direction in which to go. And I think
and then we won't have to wait for them.
It's going to unravel quickly and make determination.
I hope so.
The interesting is the information that as we move.
One question each sleuth,
put
and
together
then
what occurred. And so knowing a lot of those things and putting them together already.
they look everything up, put it together,
would like,
send it in.
Quick end to this, and that's what we would like as well. These types of cases are large and they take time, and we recognize that there's frustrations out there, a lack of information, but again, ultimately this is a complex criminal investigation, and we will provide as much information as possible, and we're always wanting more information as well from the public.
Speaking of more information from the public, the family of Xana Kernodle has sent out flyers. They sent some out last month, and they've sent more out this week. Basically just begging people, asking people with any information to come forward, whether it's the tip line, whether it's the digital media upload with the FBI site. So they sent out, I think, 5,000 or so of these flyers in the mail. Talk to me about
let me check my email. Almost forgot.
Town.
We appreciate that support from the family. We want additional leads as well. Anybody that had looked at some of their past social media posts or past pictures and think something's out of the ordinary, something's odd, we want that information. I think we've been consistent in saying that, the activity that might have been done within those pictures or those videos that people may or may not want to submit to the police, that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the context of the crime. That way we can piece together aspects of this case, that we get a better picture.
Chief Fry released a video and said that he was addressing leadership in this investigation. And I think I know why he did that. There have been some things said about Moscow being too small of a PD to handle something like this. Obviously, Idaho State Police and the FBI are assisting with this investigation. He talked about the experience of his command staff. I saw some reporting the other day about the lead in Moscow only having 2 years experience. Moscow PD, possibly more experience in law enforcement, possibly military police training and things like that. Can you address that? Why did Chief Fry feel the need to come out and do that?
Yeah, I do think it's important. There have been statements made in the public and in media, and the chief really wanted to stress that indeed this was his investigation. This is his agency. These crimes happened in his jurisdiction, and so he is the chief, and he is the one leading these investigations. His command staff has ample experience. 94 years of experience combined, a lot of experience for agents, and so they can pick when they want to be in the. And they have, the information out there is not always correct. And I don't even think it's accurate when it comes in terms of saying that this agency is too small. It doesn't matter the size of the agency. You have a police chief who understands what he's doing. He understands how to get an investigation done, and he's able and willing to call in additional resources. I think that's ultimately important. So at this point in time, you have some of the best and the brightest, both from Moscow Police Department, but the ISP and the FBI, all working on this case. And so when you have that much skill and technological wonderment and abilities, and you just have all that investigative skill, that's important. The chief is the one that had that, brought that all here. And so when he says we're dedicated, motivated to get this case solved.
And what does that tell you?
He's
if they have all these resources, brought everyone in, and we're going on to the 6th week this weekend?
Yeah.
I'm thinking this guy knew what he was doing. Yeah, I don't think Schreiger was involved. Okay, let's figure out. This room is starting to bother me. So the first one we're going to watch real quick is that one that Johnny Law did back in the beginning. What are you chewing over there?
Who, me? I'm not chewing.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. This is chewing.
Oh, it sounds like a little froggy then.
I don't know
Gladden and
what
I are
frogs
gonna have.
sound like. Oh, you know what? It might be that because I have to have the little heater fan on.
Oh,
Let me
poor
let me
baby's
pause.
cold. Okay, I'm gonna speed this up, but I just want to go through this real quick before I show you this video that I found today from, what did I say the name was? Hidden True Crime. But remember if when we watched Johnny Law in the beginning and he spoke about the room regarding the Dylan and what room she should have been in and this and that. Well, this is going to explain a lot when we watch the next 3D tour. Because I'm curious of the building in the front. Because remember, there's 6 rooms and 4 of the rooms were supposedly occupied and 2 were vacant. There was a 6th girl on the lease that was either, from what I heard, she had already left for the end of the year. She was gone. She moved out. But she was on the lease. It just, her lease wasn't over yet. And then people are now saying that Dylan was supposed to be on the 2nd floor, but she chose to go back into the down floor. But how would that have been possible from the cop cam on September 1st, 2022, when they look in that window and it looks like it's got like, I don't know, storage stuff. But then again, it could have been that 6th roommate's room and it was packed up, but they just didn't finish getting her stuff out.
Yeah, ready to
It could
go
have been
for
anything.
Thanksgiving, just taking extra stuff because those rooms were small.
And not only that, but she was done. She was done after that lease was over. We need to find that
Dylan?
6th roommate.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see now, because he kind of broke it down here a little bit. Way back in, when was
Hey, guys,
this?
welcome back.
Hello, Johnny Law. He broke this down on 4 weeks ago. And he starts talking about the room that Dylan could have been in or she was supposed to be in. And I found it interesting that 4 weeks ago he mentioned it. And now people are starting to talk about this room switch.
In this video, I'm going to break down the house, 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, where there was a quadruple murder of the University of Idaho students. I've been getting a lot of questions on my previous videos, which I'll link up here, in regards to how can the 2 girls that were downstairs not hear what was going on in the above floors.
Schroeder, are you
So
here?
there's a lot of speculation about that. And I don't know if people really
Hello, Eric
understand the flow
Murphy.
of this house based on what the news has put out there. So I've decided to maybe help you understand it a little bit in my own words and how I can break this down. I got some photos to compare it to. So if you're interested in seeing the flow of this house and how it's laid out, then keep watching the video. And if you haven't checked out my other 2 videos where I discuss it above. All right, so let's get to it. I'm just going to be an interactive video. I have my iPad here with some pictures. So I'm going to be looking down a little bit and writing on an iPad. And to do that, I need to be able to see my iPad. So I have to put on sunglasses because I'm getting that age, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the house. First thing we want to look at is the overall drone shot that I think probably the news media shot. And as you're going to see, this is a 3-story dwelling.
The only thing I know, no way, is that who asked that? If he lived there or not, or still going to college there. Supposedly Jack lives like right, like he would have a clear view of Kaylee's sliding glass doors. He lives in that house that's like an L shape, and it looks like 2 places on one floor, and then it goes up onto the top. And then they actually had video of somebody standing on that roof with binoculars. Thank you, Maureen. That is greatly appreciated. But he breaks this down amazing. But it's interesting, like I said earlier, and we got the red Jeep. I can't tell with the white car, but the police are already in. And this is this building on the left. Is that where Enon lives up here? On that building in the corner with the white truck? I heard he drove 5 hours away, but I don't know. These are all what sleuths think. I don't think Jack did it. That's my opinion. I think this was a incel creeper that was hanging right back in here. He might have even had a place up in the tree like Red Dragon. He might have left a mark in the tree. Huh.
This section right here was the original section, and this section was added later on. Okay, so this is floor 1. This is floor 2. 1 and 2. We're going to consider this 3. There's actually a drop down in here. It's a little step, but I'm going to break it down a little bit more for you. So that's the overall shot of the house. So let's take a look at a sketch that was provided to me, apparently by the property management. It is obviously not to scale, but in comparing this to a lot of the Zillow photos, it is pretty accurate in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here so everybody can see this real closely. Now you can see we have the front door here that's from the street where all the cars were parked out here. You go into the first floor, second floor, and as I said earlier, there's a little step down in here. This was an addition that was put on. So this is still part of the second floor, but that's why it's in blue. And then the third level here. All right, I'm going to walk you through going through the front door. So let's enter the door. Immediately to your left, there is a set of stairs. These stairs take you up to level 2. There's a hallway with a bathroom straight ahead and a laundry room inside of there. Then we go to bedroom 1A. Now 1A, we think is Bethany's room.
No.
1A looks like this inside. Here's one angle to Bethany's room. Here's where you come in the front door.
The only reason why I think that Bethany's room was to the right was because of when she opened the door on the 1st of September and said that acted like she didn't live there. But I could be wrong. But
Yeah,
this could be
that was
Bethany's
her
room. But I'm
Maybe
sure
they
this guy right
went ahead
here.
and slept together too, but just as friends, you know, and or whatever, you know, and because maybe they sensed something.
No, I think they were probably sleeping in their own rooms. There's no way that somebody was sleeping in Kaylee's room or Maddie's room because they were both in Maddie's room and Kaylee was moving out. Xana and Ethan were in Xana's room. Bethany was in her room. And we know the bedroom on the second floor at that time, there was nobody sleeping in it. But then again, somebody could have moved in by then.
This is what the room looks like. This is, I'm assuming, either a bathroom closet or I don't know if this is the bathroom or this is the bathroom. But one of those is the bathroom and one of them is probably a closet. It's not really easy to tell. But that is one angle of that room where Bethany's is. Here's another angle. There's the window where all the cars are parked out front.
Okay.
And if you look up in the left-hand corner here, this is the angle to the stairs. So the stairs, this is where the stairs would go up to that addition.
Okay. So does anybody inside chat know the building that Enon lives in? And that's speculation, but you definitely, should I call and ask him what building he lives in?
Yeah. M and K, Maddie and Kaylee.
So what time is it there? 12:30 in Idaho. So is that Ethan's building outside of this window? Because if you're standing in the front of the house, this is the bottom floor window on the left. This is the window that the officer walks up to with the camera and looks in. With no question.
Yeah, this room?
Hello, Gerald. Yes, that's the room that the cop looks into, and you can see like, maybe we'll have a look at what they see afterwards real quick. But okay.
Yeah, Drip Drop has it too.
So when Ethan claims he lives across the street, is it that he lives on this street, or does he live to the right over here where those brick buildings are and the tree line starts, where the creeper hides out?
Floor, if that makes sense. Bedroom to the right, and it ends up over there. Let's take a look at bedroom 1B.
I'm going to try to call him.
Now, 1B is an interesting room.
He could have parked right
To me,
there
it
at that
seems
parking lot
like
next
it
door and just
is
sat
the
there all
small
day
in
watching.
the house. If there's a 6-bedroom house and it's full, and you are stuck with this bedroom 1B, and one of the doors opened up, I would think that you may want to get out of this room and go up to a warmer floor that's a bigger bedroom.
Yeah,
It's my
Jay.
assumption. Maybe that doesn't happen. Now, I don't know who's occupying this room. Now, it's either got to be Dylan or nobody. All right. So this is floor bedroom 1B.
I love
all right?
drip drop.
Here's another angle. This is the street view, as you can see right here. Let's go up the stairs to floor number 2. All right. So here is floor
Yeah,
2.
vaulted
So
ceiling.
coming
Yep.
up the stairs, we are now on level 2. You button hook to the right. That is the living room. There is a bathroom here and bedroom, which is labeled 2B, which is what were Zana and Ethan's bedroom. Not Ethan, but Zana's, where Ethan was sleeping. That is by social media accounts and friends.
Okay, so here we go. There's the second empty bedrooms. And he's going to start mentioning Dylan. But here's what I don't understand. Because from what I heard, and we know that Xana's bedroom's in the front, so he is correct. Because the way they made it sound from the 911 call and the slippage, if it was allegedly said that, they made it seem like Enon was found, like, here's the kitchen, here's the slider. Now this room has a slider too, doesn't it? I know I'm not
No,
mistaken.
I sent
And-
a picture to you a few minutes ago, and it
So
has a
there's
clear.
no.
No, it's just a big window.
Okay, so underneath Maddie's room, it's just a big bay window.
Not a bay window, but just a regular window, but it's bigger. You know,
Okay.
it's wider than others, or long, in height and width.
Okay, so that does make sense. If he did start from the 3rd floor, because the creeper, which I'm probably 80% sure he was waiting inside the house, and when he was done, why wouldn't he have just gone off the balcony? Because after, even just killing 2 people, you could have probably have flown like Superman with the adrenaline.
Or drugs.
So that makes me think that maybe he did come in through the second, or he was already there. Or he did come in and Ethan was maybe going to the bathroom or coming into the kitchen to get a drink. And then boom, boom. Of course, Xana probably heard something. She has defensive wounds. And then he makes
Yeah.
his way upstairs. But then the question is, does he not know those 2 roommates are on the 1st level?
Across here is another bedroom, 2A. Same floor. But this is where we don't know if this room is vacant, because there is obviously one room that's vacant. There are social media pictures of Dylan in this room, several in this room, that indicate that she may have switched rooms from downstairs, from one I showed you earlier, up to 2A. Unconfirmed, but it would make sense if a lot of recent pictures are being of her in that bedroom. Why is that important? Now, if we look at the diagram here, we can see that above 1A, directly above 1A, is no rooms at all. It's a living room. So directly above, there's nobody there. There's no noise being made above. There's nothing above. 1A, below is nothing. Nobody in 1B to hear anything in 2B. If Dylan is not in this room, but she's up now in 2A. Now, if Dylan is in 1B, then she could potentially hear things in 2B above her. If Dylan is in 1B, she may be able to hear things. Maybe, I don't know the structure of the house, construction, how well it's insulated. Is she sleeping with a fan? I don't know any of that information. Only investigators know that. But in the position of the house, if there is someone there, there will be somebody directly above them. But if she is not, and she is up here in 2A, then she's not going to hear that. Let's stick to 2B. Let's stick to the 2nd floor. So we have Xana and Ethan in that room. There's definitely earlier.
Okay, wait. Wait. What sense does that make? When they walk up to the front of the house and put the camera in the window on the left side, now that would be the living room that they're looking in.
No, that's on the second
So,
floor, the living room.
okay. So maybe at this time Dylan did move into the second bedroom. But then she claims she was sleeping downstairs. Something so
Okay, you remember how Dylan lied when the cops went over?
that was Bethany.
I mean, yeah, Bethany. So
Mhm.
if she could lie about that, she might be lying about whether she was home or not. Well, you know, like if her parents are still real strict and maybe she had hooked up or was with, you know, whoever or somewhere drinking or whatever all night, and then they got there at that time.
Well, they both got home at 1. They went out together to a different party and they were home at 1. They said that they were sleeping in their rooms and their rooms were on the first floor. But in September 1st, there was nobody living on that first floor window to the front of the left if you're standing in front of the house.
Yeah, because it looked like a storage room, but it really, once you look at it, there's really not that much stuff in there.
Exactly, because that's probably the room that the 6th roommate was moving out from or moved out from.
Packed. Yeah, they had you know, gotten everything ready because of the also Thanksgiving.
Right? All right, here we go.
That's still part of the second floor. So it steps down into this area here. This is where the kitchen, sink, and all of those things are located. So the second floor, we have the back patio, which anybody can walk up here and enter there. This back patio.
Okay. This back patio, you see this little place right
Yeah,
here?
allegedly. Yeah.
This is allegedly where Jack the Core and Adam lived. Where do they? This is what Crime Circus said. Circus Crime,
The
which
one where you can
drip
climb
drop.
off. Yeah, you can
Yep,
climb the
and then
thing.
yep, it's an L shape, and then right back here it comes down, and you can literally just basically walk off the roof. So that's where Jack the Core and Adam supposedly lived.
Yeah, and
And
you
where
can
the
see
picture.
this house. Yeah.
Hmm. And imagine if you had binoculars, and that's the
Mhm.
place supposedly where Murphy was on the couch. I mean, the chair.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can see inside just about from anywhere
Your kitchen, back
around you.
patio, the gravel, access to the sliding
No
glass door
clue, no
to
way.
the kitchen.
No
Here,
clue.
here's another picture of the kitchen. You see the pillars right here and the layout of the kitchen itself. Here's floor 2 that I talked about. This is coming up the stairs
Yep, living
from
room.
but into this living room. You see here to the bottom right, this is that little step down. You see the step that goes here and then down. Another shot. You come up these stairs from up here. You button hook living room, keep butting hook. That is Zana's room where Ethan and her were most likely sleeping. Unconfirmed, but most likely.
Yep.
Then there's a bathroom on the other side of that wall. Here is the street view from where people were. Okay, let's stick to 2B just for a minute. Now, everybody has seen the photos of the red substance that's down the back of the wall. I wanted to point that out where this is in relationship to the house and the bedrooms that are inside. So here on 2B, this area right here that you see is about the area where those stains are found along the wall. Whether it's blood or not blood, the red stains that are there, that's the proximity
Yep.
of this, whether the bed was laid out in this fashion or the bed was laid out in that fashion were unknown.
I don't think the blood dripped through
Okay,
the walls
so I
like
hope that
that.
makes sense about where that is in position. Now the residence where this is located, where 2B and the outside of that is located. There's been some comments back and forth about how did it go 2 stories down and all of this. People have been calling it blood. As an investigator, we don't identify substances just by looking at them. We call them suspected. In this case, suspected blood. We could field test that, but it's collected, sent to a lab. We're not going to call
because
it
of the weed,
blood.
they opened the window.
We're going to call it suspected blood or a red substance. red liquid substance. So let me just say that this red liquid substance that
when we saw all those pictures of them putting markers down and taking pictures, did we ever see a marker by that wall where the supposed blood is? I don't remember seeing a marker
I
over
didn't see a
there.
marker, but I saw them taking pictures and measuring something, and then after that they put the caution tape up.
Oh.
But I didn't see a marker at all.
gravity pulled down is located at okay. Take you back to now that you know at least floors 1 and 2. I'm going to show you where these stains were and how far they traveled.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm going to zoom in here, and this is the area
he did.
right here.
Thank you
those
very much.
Yeah, right there.
Are.
Appreciate.
As you can see,
I like
if
Johnny
I pan out a
Law,
little
though.
bit, there is dirt and ground and earth right up to that point.
They should have still
Right
had
here
that
is
covered,
where
in my
I
opinion.
was talking about
Johnny Law.
the bedroom with Zaina and where Ethan was probably staying. So that is the room in relationship to the house. And that stain that you're seeing is right there. I'm going to show you another picture. Okay. Now this picture is just a close-up of the same one you just saw pulled out. You can see
that.
It's not very far from the ground. I mean, the ground level
the
is
smudge.
right here, and this is the bottom. And there's also
Okay, wait. So listen, how many of you honestly think that that the blood would come through the wall like that? I mean, she would have had to have been up against the wall, and there'd be a complete gap in the wall. I think this might have been the killer on the outside that was leaning against the wall, because right around that corner you have a clear view to see across the street to the frat house, and it's even on top of the pipe right there, but it's not on top of the pipe on the other ones. It's like under it.
Okay. Yeah.
Under it, over it, all
Is that a
around it. It's
heating oil
weird.
pipe? Because I keep hearing
I
that
mean-
heating oil, but is that a heating oil pipe?
It's a pipe. I mean, it could be a gas pipe, a gas line. I don't know. But
Yeah.
right here
Yeah.
is a drip, and then there's nothing here, but then it continues down here.
Yeah. Because it dripped, but it hit that when it was down there lower.
But then
Yeah.
up here where these are, if he was standing over, how come there's no drip marks over the pipe? It's a very strange deal
I
right
think
there.
if that was the case, but I still think it's their blood from the second floor.
Thanks.
But if that's the case, he could have, if he was bleeding or if he was saturated with blood, he would have, and he was trying to go down that steep embankment right there, he could have held on like, oh man, but tried not to get anything anywhere. But
Yeah.
he still managed to, and then he smudged it right there on the bottom.
I don't know. It's interesting.
But
A pipe here
if that's what
that
you
is
meant.
located. Now, it is kind of
Oh,
particular
shit.
that this pattern of red fluid is going down in this direction here. And this little section here, it looks like the fluid possibly
That's
came
how
to the top
where he
because the
explains
next staining pattern is down below.
I mean,
That appears
it
to be the
looks like
same
blood.
texture and consistency of that. That this may have started here, gone over, and then gravity took it back to the house and it came down. So we don't know what it is, or I should say the investigators I don't know what that is, but we're just speculating at this point, if anything, because evidence is going to speak for itself. You never want to jump to conclusions on anything. So that's why we're calling it what they're calling it. And with the investigators, I don't even know if they've called it anything. I haven't even seen anything. It's just been the media and social calling this blood, but it's suspected blood potentially, or it could just be a red surface and that there's something that's in that pipe that we don't
I've
know
never heard the
about. Okay.
police
So I'm going
talk
to take you
about it.
now more to the third floor.
Unless
All right?
the kids
Let's take a look.
splattered something
So
when they were
we
partying.
are here on the second floor. You go up these
Like
stairs here.
chamoy.
These stairs take you up, and they button hook around and come up to this
I
hallway.
don't know. That looks pretty
You
fresh.
button hook to the left. This is on the diagram 3B, which is suspected Kaylee's room. You button hook to the right. There is a bath here, and this is Maddie's bedroom. Whether they were there at the time on November
Yeah.
13th is unconfirmed. More than likely as their bedroom, and that
You
is
should-
more
they
likely,
don't
most
even
likely
want
where they were
anybody in
sleeping.
there.
There are pictures of Maddie here with
The-
an M in the
the
window and
kids.
some purple boots. So if that's following with that pieces of evidence, if those are her boots and she's seen with those boots, as well as the M for Maddie, it would lead one to believe this is probably where she was located. We don't know any positions of them throughout the house. This is just, if it's your bedroom and you were sleeping there, that is potentially most likely where you were sleeping, but it's unconfirmed. So we're not jumping to any
Well,
conclusion.
we
The only
know
one that
now
knows
that Maddie and
whether those dear souls were sleeping are the
Kaylee were
detectives that
together.
went that
Hello,
happened.
little
That is the
miss.
only people that know where they were located in this house. So don't jump to any conclusions, but that's the way the house is laid out. So I'm going to show you one more thing. So once again,
Could
I'm just
be.
going to point out a couple things on hearing something in. So let's break it down to floors 2 and 3 now. So let's look at 2. If Dylan is not in this bedroom, then where Maddie was murdered, there's nobody below to hear that happening. Below
Okay.
Kaylee's bedroom is a kitchen. So nobody's.
Okay, we get it. We get it. So which room? I mean, do you guys really think? How many of you guys think that the person that was watching this house, because it was definitely someone that knew what he was doing, knew that the roommates were in the front of the house? I think the person knew they were there.
But they weren't as attractive.
No,
And
not
I
only
think he
that,
was
not that. I think Kaylee was the target. Maddie was
Mhm.
in the room with her, and somehow Ethan woke up, causing Xander to wake up. How the other two didn't wake up is beyond me. But if Dylan was on the second floor with the struggle with Ethan and the defensive wounds on Xana, there is no freaking way she would not have heard anything. You can't tell me that for no way.
Yeah, just by that pipe being uneven and all that is shoddy workmanship. Because my brother's a carpenter and he's real picky, I guess, and he's real precise. He wouldn't do stuff like that.
All right, I'm going to go look at this floor plan. It's only 3 minutes.
Some
But
people
I'm
say
going to
they
mute
had
it.
something to do with it, but I don't believe so.
Who had something to do with it?
Bethany?
Well, I don't know if people are saying that Bethany did, but then they had the rumor that she was transgender. And I mean, people. Some of these people just, who cares if she's transgender? So this is just a 3-minute 1122 King Road walkthrough with floor plan. This is Hidden True Crime. It's in the description. I thought it was kind of interesting. And yes, Drip Drop does it great. I love Drip Drop and his channel. Johnny Law is more professional because he's like a crime scene investigator. So that bedroom 2A. That would even have been right under Maddie.
Right there past it. They don't really show it. Right there, I think.
Yeah, we had this tour on the other day.
And so those cabinets is where the dripping was too.
Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, then Ethan had to have been by the kitchen.
So what's that? How did they have that corner? Does it look like it's all messed up? Whoever worked on it, the ceiling, was it detached?
I don't know. I guess it's the wall in Xana's room.
Yeah, but from when it was on the cabinet, it would be dripping from Maddie's room.
Well, over the kitchen would have been Kaylee's room.
But over the cabinets would have been Maddie's room.
There's a bathroom. No, because see, here's Kaylee's room on the bottom. The kitchen's underneath her. You got the stairs. This is Maddie's room.
Yeah. So underneath there, where the stairs are,
Is bedroom
there's
2.
cabinets. No, bedrooms 2's over there
Underneath
by the sliding
3A.
doors. Oh yeah, but
No,
I'm
that's the
talking about.
kitchen. Underneath here is the living room. I mean, that is the living room. Underneath there is the 2 other girls' rooms.
Okay, see right there where the cabinets are, right on the other side of the wall. That's right above there is Maddie's room. I mean the corner, the end of it.
No, Maddie's room is here, above this room.
Yeah.
The kitchen is here. Above the kitchen is Kaylee's room. In between Kaylee and Maddie's, I think, is the stairs, and then over here in the front's the bathroom. I don't. Yes, yeah. Watch when they go
Yeah, I
into
know what you mean now. Yeah. Well, I wonder where it was dripping
living
from.
room. Xana's room.
Oh, that's above
Oh, the cabinets
yeah.
in the kitchen. That's
Mhm.
Kaylee's room.
Okay.
That's what's so weird.
Mhm.
Now this. Wait. Okay. 2B was not. That was Xana's room, right? No. Yes. Okay, so this is Xana's room. This is where the blood's dripping out of.
Yeah, on the second floor, that one.
Yep.
For the outside one.
Actually, it's the 2A room that Xana was in. The 2A room. Let's see if is where.
Hey, that's the couch that they have outside. I guess that was before it got old.
Ugh.
I think it looks just like it.
Okay, well, okay, that's 2B. That's supposedly the empty bedroom. Nope, no, that is Xana's room in the front of the house, 2B, right?
I know it's on the left.
Yeah, because
I mean, I'm sorry, on the right.
because the kitchen's in the back, the living room's in the front, the bathroom, and Xana's room. Yes, this is 2B.
Oh,
So,
yeah, to the left.
so
Mhm.
the blood is dripping right about here on this wall outside. So let's see. And that's got to be the front window, which is here. So it's on the opposite wall. So it's right here is where the blood would be coming from.
Yeah, you might have cornered them there.
That's where the blood would be dripping, is on this wall.
And
Absolutely.
every house, I believe, has a little bit of a slope to where, like, for example, if you spill water, it's gonna drip in a certain direction. I mean, some don't, but like my house,
Wait a second. Go ahead.
you know, it drips a little. You know, the water flows a little bit to the left, and it's kind of like because it's a downhill.
Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, I was wrong. So here's that. Okay, so if you walk in this door on 2B and you look to the right, that's the front of the house. So
Mhm.
this is the front of the house. So right across from the front of the house is the back wall. So that's obviously where the bed is. So it is this back corner right here on the back where the blood is coming through, which is right there. But why is there a window there?
I think they made a mistake.
And you got the bathroom. Come in the hallway. The kitchen.
There's a cabinet. Yeah, it's above
Yep.
Zana's room.
It's below Kaylee's room.
I mean, Kaylee's room. What the hell?
Oh, shoot. All right, let's go check out Reddit real quick, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I'm getting sleepy.
Did you want to see the video of Jack?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Balancing the axe.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. Hey, Libcam.
Aye. I send it to you.
Hey, Liza. Can you put it in the private chat here? You see where it's at?
Yeah.
While you're looking, I'm gonna go pull up Reddit.
Because I send it to you through my phone.
Thank you, Gerald.
Oh.
It's not a window. It's a picture of the blood. Okay, what's going on here? A lawsuit filed against an internet sleuth. Who do you guys think it is? But before we get there, I want to go see
It's a lady that
something.
reads tarot cards, but I can't remember her name. I've only seen it that one time.
Okay, we saw this. This is the one I wanted to see. Okay.
Is there any way of knowing right now, and again, I know there's things you can't say, but of whether this this murderer is still in the area or may be far away by now?
Like I said, we're
What
not
happened?
disclosing any of that, but there's some of that we just don't know at this
We'll
point.
just
We're still
listen.
trying to put everything together. We've said all along that we need people to be vigilant. We need people to pay attention because we're not sure exactly where the individual is.
Wow. Why is it like this? 1 second, guys. All right, let's see. Yep, they don't know where the killer is. Huh? Isn't that a surprise?
Do you see the video, Mar? The link? Can y'all hear me? Oh, she was going to move into Kaylee's
hear
room
you.
that day.
Hello, Laura.
Dia
so let's-
Garcia said that Dylan was going to move into Kaylee's room that day that they discovered the murders. Oh my gosh. Could be because nowadays, with all the technology, before they would take a souvenir. Yeah, because Maddie probably ate and crashed out. Once you eat, you don't want to drink anymore.
So this is the University of Idaho murders yield lawsuit against the internet sleuth.
Yeah, I saw it today. I guess it's popular because she named a name.
Professor Schofield?
Yep.
Rebecca Schofield, a professor at the university,
Yeah, and
participated
Jack
in the
D.
murders
And Jack D.
because she was romantically involved with one of the victims.
Oh,
Forward statement.
Yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention to it because I knew it was bogus. Or you never know. But is she getting sued? They said she's getting sued.
Ashley Goward promotes herself on Amazon and TikTok as an internet sleuth. Oh. That solves high profile murders by consulting tarot cards and performing other readings. Oh.
Yep, she sure did. Jody Arias. But she accidentally took a picture of her dragging him.
Justice tarot card she pulled.
I haven't heard that. Well, I've heard some say that there's an accomplice. There's two of them. But I've never heard a professor.
Okay, well, let's go see who she is, and then I gotta get
Yeah,
to
tarot
bed.
cards, especially if you say for entertainment purposes, they shouldn't be able to sue you.
So this was 3 days ago.
I think she deleted that one, but she made a post, a written post.
Wait. I think I'm scrolling down with my mouse. Hang on.
Do a reading next on why Jack the Four was able to trick the parents. But what I need to say right now is they need to open their eyes. Their own daughter left them a clue. Believe your daughter over this liar, manipulative killer. I'm gonna do a reading next on why Jack the Four was able.
So where does she do readings on Amazon?
No, TikTok, and I think it's YouTube, because I saw like a community post, something like that, either here on TikTok or on another one. On a
Oh yeah,
TikTok,
we'll have to see
or
that.
TikTok
We'll
or
have to
what?
see that. All right, let's just have a quick look through Twitter and see if anything's crazy.
Oh, if you're on Twitter, you can see Jack the Car, but I did send you the link. Jack the Car X.
Oh, TikTok? Yeah, okay, let's look.
So he would know how to not get hurt also. Like if you juggle fire, you have experience in not getting hurt. Yeah, that's
Is he talking or is it music?
No, some of it's them and some of it's music.
Yeah, but I don't want to get it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll
see,
get a
there's an
copyright
axe, but you
claim.
can't see it. That's an axe. See it?
Jeez. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does somebody know they can do this?
Look at his shirt, upside down sixes.
Yeah.
Look at that. A whole damn board. What's that? A pole? Damn! It's where you put the bikes.
Oh. How does he know that he can do that, though?
What was that, like an arm?
Yeah,
from
that's a little strange. I don't. Maybe from a mannequin. Huh?
But I would be scared to crack my head open with a damn axe. Shit.
Right. Woo.
And we still don't know. It's not that hard. What did I used to do? Oh, it was on my finger. I would. What the
Oh
hell? Who's that?
my God.
I think all of them had those, being that they're hunters.
Just
it.
found
Found
this
it.
picture. Looks like Dylan Mortensen holding a knife in her hand. What's wrong with her face too, right there? I
It's
gotta
not.
save this.
It looks darker than the picture. It's not a Photoshop, or maybe they just lightened
I
it.
don't know. I gotta save it to look. Yeah, it kind of doesn't look like it was in her hand. I mean, it could have been Photoshop.
But she's got
And if
the
it is,
weird
people are
look.
sick. Real quick.
She might have had a lighter.
Yeah, she does. That's what I was actually thinking.
The guy who was balancing, that's Jack Decor, and the girl is Bethany, right?
Bethany. Yeah,
Yeah, Bethany.
Funke,
The one of the units
Funke.
from the first floor. Yeah.
Oh, you're so rude. You know
I'm
I'm
rude.
kidding. You know I'm kidding. Oh,
From a
Steve
huge
done
Mormon
called.
family, who her father is yesterday. On Dylan, he knows who this father is. Her father is.
Oh, whose father?
Dylan. Libcom knows Dylan comes from a huge Mormon family. I found out who her father is yesterday.
Oh, really? Huh. All right.
The case is moving forward, but we have to protect the integrity of this
Wait.
case for KTV.
Describes the feeling of getting a call from his
Okay, never mind.
If you have the axe and you're used to cutting wood, because they do have the loggers over there, and so if you imagine, if you can cut wood, what it would do to a body, like a bone or something.
I don't know, but what is this? Up until now, I for sure had the roommates being involved. Now I'm not sure. What if I was wrong? What is this?
Oh, someone's. Who is that? Yeah.
I don't know. Let me open this up and see real quick. And what about that weird guy talking about his pulled muscle and leaving his? Yeah, this is 28 minutes long. Hang on one second.
His muscle.
Oh no, this is someone's YouTube channel. Let's go back to Twitter real quick. Well, you know what? Wait a second. Let's go to Moscow.
Hey, Mark. I saw a video. They were doing that vigil for Lena Serdar,
Mm-hmm.
and that lady, ETA, uh, she was making it about her again, crying and crying. So the dad was holding her and
Yeah, we're
comforting
gonna do
her.
one. Yeah, we're gonna do a video on that, but I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
Lena in this video.
I know that was a.
We gotta do a live on Lena's missing.
Hardly anyone was there because of her.
Mm.
But the sheriff was there. I know. I keep talking.
One sec. I want to just go to the Moscow page from the police. But isn't that weird too, them saying that the college computers and that stuff was down for a while?
Yeah, they were down for 9 hours.
Sorry, guys.
And they
I
have
got a
a
chest cold.
It's okay. And they have a IT department. Well, not department, but classes.
But yeah, it was. They were saying it was down 6, 9 hours, whatever. But my gosh.
I think she
All
did
right.
have a little bit of surgery on her nose and maybe fillers on her upper lip. Dylan.
Who?
Dylan.
Some people think that people were saying that she was transgender.
I don't know. They have money, so they could do whatever. If she is, that's fine. But is transgender transvestite? Did they change the name? You know, do they have implants, or do they have a surgery to remove and add?
It's all different. Depends on. I mean, it could be that they're transgendering, that they could stay maybe that same sex, but live and think of the other sex. I mean, it's a lot of different things.
What if it's one of these crazy rich people and because of their genes, you know what I mean? And they're because they're smart and all of that, they have good features, beautiful, and they want their kids to be that way, so then they took their ovaries and their eggs.
Some
Go
of the
ahead and
things that
laugh out loud. I'm going to make you cough again.
some of the things that you say crack me up.
Well, it's possible.
I
The
mean,
technology is there.
This Leisha, you gotta watch. You gotta go watch the Surviving the Survivor link in my description, and he talks about it. It was actually down for 6 hours, 9 hours, somewhere in between there. And something as weird as the Moscow County homepage is not loading to the
I
King
wonder
County
when they had
murders.
time to study, man. Or were
Why
they just
is
that
it?
smart that they didn't have to study? But Ethan had a tutor, that guy Barry Ochoa.
Yeah, I don't know why the Moscow page is not opening tonight. Where they have the updates.
Oh, Kaylee had implants. Build a poll.
Who said? How do we know that Kaylee had implants?
Lisa Road, the Walker Bridge, said Kaylee had surgery, nose, and implants. Yeah, there was 6 hours of the internet being down. That same day, Alicia. Yeah, I don't know the correct words anymore because it's changed.
4chan. Yeah, that's weird, guys. It's not opening up.
Oh, wait. Lipcom said transvestite just means wearing the clothes of the opposite gender or sex, rather. So that means transgender is when you have the surgery.
Yeah, well, transgender is when you're transgendering into the opposite sex. And I guess some have the surgery. I think some have partial surgeries,
Yeah, like both.
well, I've seen, I've heard, some have, the male will keep the penis and get the boobs.
Yeah. And they'll
Did I
they'll
say
have
that?
surgery.
Did I say that professionally, or should I said
Breast implants?
Well, no, I wasn't even talking about the boobs. But then,
You
I
said
mean, and can't people even transgender and not even and consider themselves transgender and not even go through the surgery?
Well, they can. I know they can have both, like the, keep the genitals, but you can even have a vagina. You can get a vagina and have both, but you can also just remove shit. It is graphic, but remove the penis and then have a vagina. It's not an implant. They just make it they open the skin. I'm not exactly sure, but I did meet a lady, no names or anything like that, a long time ago, and she had a penile implant, but it was real hard and it was always like that. You know what I mean? And it looked like a
Ah,
regular. It looked
this
like a
chat,
regular.
this chat took a far right. Holy shit!
Oh, they turned the penis inside out? Yes,
Yeah, I
that's
think
true.
I
That's true.
yeah
That's true. I remember now. Especially,
yeah.
yep. Wow.
But like I don't.
Chat is
I
into.
mean, yeah, doesn't bother me.
I don't
But
know.
why is the Moscow page down?
On Thursdays they have a show downtown, and they have a strip with nothing but gay
Even
clubs.
even the Moscow jail roster page is down.
They have good
She
drink
doesn't listen,
specials.
guys. She just keeps blah blah blah.
I heard you, but I'm telling you about the gay bars in San
Yeah, we're
Antonio.
good.
They have good, real cheap drinks and strong.
Oh, stop. Okay, let's just have a look and then I'm gonna end this. Let's just go look and see if anyone interesting's been arrested.
Ooh, I
Okay,
bet it
so
helps.
huh.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I'm wondering if the law enforcement was trying to throw us off so we could not interfere, and they would just made that up about the Elantra, just so we could go and just mess with that, keep occupied while they did their investigating.
Yeah, but you can see on the light that there's a car back there when those cops are talking to those three kids.
Who made a really good video of that light? Can't
Of
remember who
which
that
one?
was. The light that they say was at the house from the body cam, the police body cam, and you could see it turn when it turns off.
And that's the bathroom light. Like that could have been like when that bathroom light turned off at 3:15, it could have happened a little bit after that. But it was dark. Like this
Oh
person
yeah. If the girls
this
were in the
person
bathroom, they have to get ready for bed.
well, just one girl I'm sure was in the bathroom. Look at that monster in Moscow County for R on a child. Nope, nothing interesting. $12.16 is this guy, but he's got paraphernalia. Probably smoking meth.
Chomo, yep.
I don't see a lot. There's like not too many getting arrested in December.
Well, they all of them look rugged and they don't fit the college profile, I guess what you would call it. Clean cut.
I don't even see Leonard anymore.
I thought I saw him.
I don't see
That's not him.
Leonard. No. He's got the purple thing on his arm in his picture. Ooh, there's some strange beans out there. A lot of
What are they
drugs.
arrested for? Oh,
A lot
drugs.
of drugs and sexual predators. Like, I mean, it's either drugs or lewd with a minor. This is domestic battery.
Maybe because there aren't as many females.
Look at
The
sexual
ratio.
exploit with a child, paraphernalia. Ooh, Possession of a controlled substance.
He
Dude, you
looks
need
like
to.
a junkie.
I'm just going to say, dude, you need to stop using.
For real.
All right, I think. Yep. Well, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully, we're going to get a big thing that says that they've made an arrest. I mean,
Oh, you have to dilate it.
I believe everything Dale Carson says, and I'm sticking with him. Hey, sweet Caroline. But I think that's it. Chisme, you have anything else?
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming up. Guys, thank you for coming in. Let's pray for this monster to be caught.
Amen.
All right, guys, keep your baby safe and stay vigilant. You want to say anything else? Adios, amigos.
Merry
amiga.
Christmas. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Feliz Navidad. Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think the one that fits the profile to me is Enon Harsh. Except
I
for
do
the
too,
dog.
no way.
Except for the dog.
then Enan's second.
I think it's somebody who is a complete stranger to them as a friend, but they've seen them around because I think this person's older. All right, I think that's it, guys. Stay
Okay.
vigilant.
I'll see you soon.
Yep. Keep your baby safe, guys, and stay vigilant.
Okay.
You're gonna stay vigilant, girl?
For sure.